Here we are, folks. Live a little bit earlier. Obviously, a few of you in the chat. George, welcome back to the stream, mate. I'm glad I've given you something to do. I did plan for 10 o'clock, but I woke up nice and early. I felt fresh. I thought, why not? Let's jump on, guys. Plenty of things to talk about. Nice. Congratulations, George. Contract extension by year. That is what we like to hear. In tough times as well, mate, we need to know where that moolah's coming from, don't we, really? Especially in the UK, mate. It's some tough times out there for a lot of people. Adrian, mate, thank you so much for those comments. I'm glad I've been an inspiration. I personally wouldn't have gone that far to call myself an inspiration, but it's been an absolute wild journey. I mean, while we're talking about rank, I suppose we can start with that. So this is what it looks like for me at the moment. This is what it looks like for me. I started game week 16 at 1.5. Sorry, I think I ended game week 16 at 1.5 million, so 15%, and then I've jumped to 117k. Like, it is possible to do it. It's just I got the decisions right on that World Cup wildcard. 92 points last week. You know, only captaining Rashford because I'd already used my triple captain in game week 20. Was it 20? Yeah, game week 20. So still coming away with 40 points. Anyone who did triple captain him smashed it. 20 extra points is huge. But yeah, it's been a wild journey. So thank you very much for the comments, mate. I've just, like I say, I've just feel a bit of both. I've got lucky. I've had some good decisions, but overall, it's been a wild ride. So talking about transfers, Rodrigo has been moved to Grealish. I did that the other night. Like I said in the team selection, I just don't really... I can see the plus side in going for Nketiah and maybe shifting my formation to a 3-4-3, but longer term, I just didn't want it. I still like the 3-5-2. So I've actually decided that I might be benching Shaw. That's a bit of a headache between him and Estepinian, so we'll be talking about that soon. Botman is my possible transfer out to either White or Zinchenko, so that's where we're at. How are we doing, Sport Cat? Lots of questions for me today. Perfect. That's what the stream's for, mate. But yeah, George, I'm happy for you, bud. That's what it's all about, mate. Need to make sure we lock in that cash, mate, every month, right? But yeah, fire those questions at me, guys. Like I say, I mean, in terms of benching, I think Luke Shaw, the problem I have with playing him is I think it was, I can't remember who it was in the comments, but somebody mentioned that, you know, without Casemiro, we do look a little bit off. And I am inclined to agree with that. I think Sabitzer and Fred just haven't got a partnership properly formed yet. I think Sabitzer looked okay. He looked good. I mean, give him time. Sure, he might only be in the squad to the end of the season, but I think United concede this weekend. So I feel like a Palace team that's not really firing and missing their key player in Zaha, Estepinian makes sense. George, you want to keep third striker slot for Tony in the future? Yeah. I think, you know, I may shift to a 3-4-3 later on, but maybe when someone like Jesus returns, for example. But then, of course, Arsenal are basically exhausted all their double game weeks. Now we've had double game week 25 announced. They're not going to be doubling in the future, right? So Brentford, I feel like, you know, and Ivan Toney, like you've mentioned, will be doubling more often, right? As long as he can stay out of the suspension category, though. He's on 8 yellow cards. Morning, Stu. How we doing? Adrian, can you just fire your squad at me? Yes, mate, that's what I'm here for. Go for it. Go for it. Like I say, any bench headaches, captaincy choices, or whatever you want to talk about, guys, that's what this stream is all about. And just maybe a little bit of advice for me as well, because at the end of the day, like I say, I've made the Grealish move. It is differential. I know a lot of content creators and other people have gone for Mahrez, but I just genuinely think his minutes are going to be risky. I've just got a feeling that Grealish may return more over these couple of weeks. So gone for him. Botman to an Arsenal defender is so tricky for me, but it has to be done either way. Between now and game week 25, I have to get rid of Botman, pretty much. Shaw more than likely becomes Tarkowski in 25 because of Everton's double. But Botman needs to become someone else, and it's probably going to be an Arsenal defender because they are doubling in 25 as well. George, what's your team selection? You only go into Grealish to save money for Salah. So, yeah, basically, if I would have gone for Mahrez, it would have been a little bit trickier for me to find the money to go Bruno up to Salah. And I know that, some people may question, well, Darwin probably is nearly equally as good for 3 million cheaper in some ways. But I just don't trust Darwin to do it. I also don't really trust Salah, but I'm going to be looking, at the end of the day, when there's a double game week, I just feel it makes sense to go for him. Plus, he's on penalties. It just makes sense to try and approach Salah, I think, in 25, which is why I went for Grealish in the end as well. Kepa, Ward, Shaw, Ake. Well, I mean, you're definitely going to go for Kepa over Ward, in my opinion, this week. Shaw, we've already mentioned. I feel like he's a little bit risky in terms of the conceded goals this week. I think Leeds look good at Old Trafford, so I think they're going to do the same at Ellen Road, to be honest. They're going to come out sharp. We miss Casemiro. Ake is a minute's risk, but if you've got him in your team and he wasn't one of your transfers, then I think you play him ahead of a double. Seth, Tony to Nketiah and Martinelli to Mahrez. I don't hate it. I don't hate that, Seth, at all. I think with Tony, he is blanking in 25. I know he's doubling later on. He's on 8 yellows. I feel like that's a good move. You get 5 fixtures out of Nketiah as well, more than likely, as Jesus probably returns after. Martinelli to Mahrez. I think Martinelli is now going to be a minute's risk. Maybe not for this double game week specifically, but I think over the next few weeks he's going to start having his minutes managed a bit more to keep Trossard happy. So Mahrez, look, my personal opinion is I prefer Grealish. That's simply just because of expected minutes, I think, over these next 4 games that City play in the next 3 weeks. But I do think Mahrez has got a great amount of goal threat. Sportcat, you only have 4 players doubling. You want as many as possible. Martinelli and White minutes are risky and you still own them, yeah. So this is the thing, I was looking at bringing White in, but the more and more I think about it, maybe it is a classic overthinking when I've started to watch other content creators and Twitter. But we have seen him get subbed pre-60 before. And like I said in my team selection, the problem I have with Ben White is that if Arsenal are beating Brentford by 3-0, I feel like he gets subbed early. So maybe the better play is Zinchenko because I feel like his minutes will be a bit more solid. I can't see Tierney coming in. Adrian, so your full team then is Kepa, Ward, Trippier, Shaw, Ake, White, Saka, Odegaard, Fernandes, Rashford, Kane, Haaland, bench Mount, Bueno, Greenwood, 1 free transfer. So no transfers made at the moment. I like the fact you've already got Saka and Odegaard. That's pretty good. I don't think you need to make a move on Fernandes or Rashford because they've got great fixtures over the next few weeks. I mean, you've got 2 double game week defenders there in Ake and White. You're not going to get rid of Trippier. Potentially you could roll with that squad, mate, to be honest. I don't really see any massive need to improve anyone. How much money have you got in the bank? Okay, so you thought about Mahrez, Grealish from Mount. Okay, that makes sense. Start him over a defender. You're thinking to roll. Yeah, so there you go. Exactly what I've just said. But, I mean, Mount to Grealish or Mahrez does kind of make sense to me. Maybe play him ahead of Luke Shaw. That's the only move that I would make, I think, for you for one free transfer. George, see, I'm thinking the other way. You think Diaz should be back, and you're going to go Bruno to Diaz and splash out on Mahrez. Makes sense. But then is he going to be back by then? Because isn't he still listed as an unknown return date? George, I'm with you on Mo for game week 25. That's the only reason I'm keeping KDB has been useless. Yeah, and this is the thing. I was very tempted to go for the Bruno to KDB move and then obviously hold KDB for a couple of weeks and then go to Salah in 25, but I just don't think it's needed now. I thought Bruno looked really good against Leeds. So you're going Zinchenko for your Arsenal defender as well, George. That's interesting. Like I really like him. I think he's got the potential to kind of play how Cancelo played in kind of Pep's, not heyday, I can't say that because City have been dominating for so long, but you know, Pep has always used Cancelo as the extra man in midfield, and Arteta was Pep's student at the end of the day, right? So Zinchenko's given that freedom. Tierney doesn't play that way, and I just feel like he's got that attacking threat. And maybe this is just gut instinct. Maybe you're feeling the same way, but that's why I'm leaning more towards Zinchenko. Right? And I didn't even mention him as a possible transfer. It's just something I had a thought about last night. Sportcat, you want to bring Mahrez in for Fernandes, you'll risk it. Look, I don't hate the move, mate. I don't. I just, like I said, we could debate for hours over Mahrez, genuinely, because I just my gut feeling and instinct with him is that he's going to be played, and because of his form, more so in the European fixtures. I think Pep can probably see the league slipping away a little bit unless he beats Arsenal in this midweek fixture. I feel like it's going to be very difficult for him. So maybe Champions League is where he focuses his efforts, and that's where I feel like Mahrez gets a little bit risky later down the line. Maybe not specifically for this double, but that's just all I would bear in mind, is that he's a minute's risk potentially moving forward. But he can be easily transferred out, right? It's not a problem. I do think he's worth the punt for a double, if that's worth anything. Armin, hi Dan, didn't expect you to start the stream this early. How's the stream going? Yeah, nice and steady, mate. As usual, we get between 5 and 10 viewers joining. It's I don't hit the numbers of the big FPL boys at all, but sometimes I don't mind that, right? Because it allows me to talk to each of you in a little bit more detail. I'm not just firing off, quick fire questions. I can actually talk about, each pick in a bit more detail, right? Apparently he's back in light training, so I'm hoping in 2 weeks he's match fit. Fair enough, because I did have Diaz in my team. Actually, not at the beginning. I didn't go for him. But I can definitely see the potential with him. So that's interesting. I'll have to maybe review that. But again, this is an if button, maybe. So I'm going to back that I need the money for potentially Fernandes to Salah. And if Diaz is back, then great. I've saved myself some money and I can maybe look at a different premium. Adrian, thank you. You're welcome. What are your thoughts for Man City, Man United, Brighton for Game Week 25 beyond? Right, well, we can talk. I mean, look, I've got my FPL website up, so we can talk about plans. So here, because I've got, look, you can see how many blanking players I've got. Rashford, Shaw, Fernandes, Trippier, Estepinian, Botman. In this scenario, all of my defensive line pretty much are blanking, right, in 25. So this is where I was thinking, okay, if I did Botman to Zinchenko, this gets rid of a blanking player, and of course I get a doubler, and then I get somebody that's also doubling in 25. So that's kind of initial thoughts. Would be a -4 this week, but that's kind of my plan here. Then in 24, I would line up this way. I definitely wouldn't be playing Bueno ahead of Zinchenko, so I would be benching Trippier more than likely for Luke Shaw at Leicester at home. Got a pretty good squad here. I can roll, in my opinion, here. I don't need to make any moves. I'm very happy with that. That then brings me into 25, where I would be doing a -4. That would be Fernandes to Salah, Shaw to Tarkowski, and what's the other one? In fact, I wouldn't have to do the -4 because I'd be here. So in this scenario, by doing the -4 in 23, I don't have to take a -4 in 25. I do have Greenwood, as in my starting 11, but then I don't have any blanking players, essentially, except for these 3 on my bench. Then it allows me, from a Brighton point of view, in 26 or 27, because we now know they're doubling in 27, my plan was to probably take out Grealish and bring in Matoma. And that's kind of how my first initial thoughts are in terms of where I want to go. So that's the long-term plan, Adrian. Whether it works out that way or not, I don't know. Things always shift, right? But that's kind of my rough plan. Yeah, so Sportcat, you're on the same page as me. So if you're going to sell him for 26 anyway, like I'm going to sell Grealish, I think it's probably okay to keep him for that term. George, the only problem you have is who you transfer out for Zinchenko. Yeah, I think Botman for me is an easy one because he's blanking. But which options have you got? Welcome to the stream, FPL Boo Boo. Hello, sir. Good to see you, mate. Sportcat, for the player you bring in 25, you don't want to bring in Mings or Tarkowski. You want to bring in a defender that will regularly start and play in my team. Well, Tarkowski and Mings, I think, are okay for minutes. The problem is the fixtures between now and... Okay, no, I see what you're saying. For the player you bring in 25, I think Tarkowski's probably the play. That's what I'm going to do anyway. Armin, you went from Shaw to Tarkowski and Mitro to Kane for a -4. Excellent record against Leicester, so that's why I was so desperate to get him in. Absolutely. I just think that Kane is an absolute must. I think I spoke to a few people actually after my team selection in the comments that I do think Kane can be a priority transfer for people this week even. I know he's not doubling, but he's so consistent. Bench 2, Mitrovic, Mitoma, Shaw, Wilson, Botman. I would probably bench Shaw. I would probably bench Shaw and Botman, but you can't, can you? You can't bench two. Could you bench the 2 defenders in this scenario? Like, who would you have? Because I think Mitro, Matoma and Wilson. Matoma, you're not going to be benching. He's in form against a weak Palace side defensively. Mitrovic, I suppose he's maybe one of the ones I would consider, just because Forest's form is actually really good. It's really good at home. Wilson against Bournemouth, mate. I just feel like that's set up. That's set up for Eddie Howe to return to the South Coast and for him to do some damage. But yeah, I think it's close. But definitely I think Luke Shaw is one of them, just because I can see us conceding against Leeds. I genuinely can. So George, it'll be Botman or Shaw. I'm getting rid of both. It's just who to keep for the extra week. I think you keep Shaw because Botman's got Liverpool next week. For me, I know they've not been great, and it is at home for Newcastle, but I just think Botman's the play. They're out. Abdullah, hello mate. Welcome to the stream. Really need my help. Okay, what are we doing? Can you see my team 36th in the league, used wildcard? Well, this is the thing. I can't see your team as you've wildcarded. That's the problem. You're going to have to, because I'll see it as the points you scored last week, right? I can't see your team in its current state. So if you've pressed the button, I just need to know what your whole team is, to be honest. FPL Boo Boo, you have to start one of defenders. Okay, so I think you do start Botman in that case. I would probably bench Mitro and Shaw then. I would probably bench Mitrovic and Shaw. It's difficult because you have got, there's great fixtures across the board there. But like I say, Shaw is definitely the number one to bench in my opinion. It's not just because I'm doing it. I would have been against this a couple of days ago. I just thought more about it. We were quite open midweek. And also we don't have Casemiro. And he is so important to the way United play at the moment with Erik ten Hag. So I think he's a must bench. And then I just think Wilson over Mitrovic, surely. Mitoma over Mitrovic, surely. The only thing with Botman over Mitro is that Botman's capacity is probably, or ceiling, should I say, is probably 6 points. Mitro could do more. I'm not convinced with him against Forest. Forest have been doing so well. Sportcat Riyad Mahrez price rise. Yeah, he did go up. He did go up by 0.1. Can you still afford him though? Tanoki, welcome to the stream, mate. Good to see you. Game week 25, you're going to sell Cancelo for a defender and you want to keep for the long term. If you transfer in Mings or Tarkowski, I'm going to immediately sell them, so there's no point. But then would you not, because you've saved so much money between Cancelo and Tarkowski, wouldn't you just hold him and maybe move the money into a different area? Or is it just because you don't have the defensive options then to cover you for the rest of the, between game week 25 and 29, let's say? Could you not just bench Tarkowski? So you'd have 6.7. That's what I mean. So maybe, would you have already had Kane in this point? I can't remember which weeks you'd be bringing Kane in. But I know you were looking at Mitro to Kane at some point. Tanoki, you ended up saying Mitro and Shaw too when Boo Boo was in another stream. Yeah, I think it's just, I don't know. It's really difficult, isn't it, that one? Really difficult. Do you think Mitoma is worth having this week despite a man down in 25? Yeah, I mean, look, he's one of the ones that I kind of regret not moving for early, but 25's blank did put me off. I'm not going to lie. But I do think he's great. I think he's looking really, really strong. And we now know that Brighton are doubling in 27, of course, which is, if you can bench him and hold him through the blank, why not go for him? Mitro the type to score tons, but infrequently, though. Yeah, that's the thing. He can get a double digit at any time, and that's why I'm thinking Botman has the ceiling of 6 points, but Mitro could go and get 12. And this is the kind of debate, isn't it, really? You're not too keen on Newcastle attack. Yeah, true. I mean, they've not really produced that much. But then defensively, they didn't look great against West Ham, I must admit. And that was at home. I don't think they concede against Bournemouth, but, because they look woeful from an attacking point of view. You could bring in Kane in your team right now, -4 to bring Mahrez in as well. So Kane and Mahrez for Mitro and Bruno, right? I mean, I don't hate that move, mate. I don't hate it. I think Kane against Leicester is going to be... I honestly feel like he's going to do some damage here. Abdullah, I'll check your team out shortly, mate. Hold on. So any good midfielder in the 8 million range? Have you already got Saka? You've already got Saka, Mahrez. Okay, let's talk it through then, Abdullah. Right, I've got Kepa, Ake, Trippier, Gabriel, Rashford, Mitoma, Mahrez, Saka, Haaland, Kane, and Nketiah. Ward, Tarkowski, Kilman, and Gakpo. So You're looking at, obviously, you're looking at the double game week in 25, I assume, with Tarkovsky and Kilman, which I like. You need to, if you're using the wild card now, you definitely need to take that into consideration. In terms of blank players, you would have Rashford, Matoma, Trippier. So you'd only have 3 blanking players, which is good. Gakpo also doubles in 25. Maybe, I mean, is there any chance you go for someone like Maddison? Like, what's their fixtures looking like in terms of, because let's look at Leicester. So 26, I'm thinking beyond, looks okay, I think, for Leicester. Maybe Maddison would be a shout, 8 million-ish. But again, I don't know how far you want to, because you will probably end up giving yourself some bench headaches, and I'm not convinced with Gakpo, by the way. Hi, Max. Welcome to the stream. Do you bench March or Mitrovic? You've had March on the bench all week, but you've made me think about it now. Yeah, it's interesting because March against Palace, he could do very similar things to what Matoma's done. It will just reverse it, right? He could go absolutely crazy, where Matoma's had the purple patch. March did have a little purple patch before that. That's where the debate from content creators happened originally. But in him versus Mitrovic, Forest's form at home have been really good. They've, like, I'm not being funny, they're one of the best teams since in 2023 in terms of home form. Like, they're not to be underestimated. I genuinely think all of their transfers have started to kind of gel a little bit now, and defensively they look a bit more solid. That's my only concern about Mitro. March against the Palace side that looks quite weak, I think, is the better option there. But it's just both. This is an attacker versus an attacker. The reason why we were talking about Mitro versus Botman was it's obviously attacker versus defender, so it's a bit slightly different. Should you hold on to Mitrovic, who has a decent fixture? So just as I said there, I don't think it is considered a decent fixture anymore. George, FPL is about using your brain, so I kind of want to do heads or tails to decide. Grealish or Mahrez, coin flip time. That's what we like on this stream, George. Tanoki, you see a Stepinian over Shaw, which I'm not surprised, but I do lean the other way. I'm basically... My reason for this, Tanoki, is after watching us midweek, I don't know, we look really open without Casemiro. I'm going to be honest. I can see us Estepinian keeping a clean sheet. I can't see Shaw keeping a clean sheet. And Estepinian has just as much attacking threat, in my opinion, as Luke Shaw does. So I feel like there's a better upside. I'm kind of going against effective ownership, definitely. But again, like I've mentioned before, it's not really a massive area of concern for me. I just try to put in the players that I think are going to score me the most points. Armin, if you don't have Matoma currently, it's not worth to transfer him in before the blank. Palace away is always a tough fixture, and Fulham at home is a very good fixture, but not worth it before the blank. I think it's team dependent though, Armin, right? Because if you can manage game week 25 blank where you're not taking any hits, then I think Matoma's okay to bench through it, because those fixtures are really good. I think Palace haven't shown very, very good form from a defensive point of view, mate, if I'm honest. Fulham, you're right on. Absolutely. Fulham are maybe a little bit more defensively solid. But I don't know. He's in such good form. You've got a coin flipping app, Tanoki. Sorry, I'm really behind on comments now. So let's try speed it up. Can you check out my team? I haven't made any transfers. Can you also see how much I have in the bank and do it from there? I can do Sportcat, yes. I could go from your team ID. I could have a look at what to do. But on stream, it's just a little bit more pressurising. That's my only problem with it. I just like you giving me the options and me talking you through them. Tanoki, rather than go for Leicester players, issue with 26, that's when people want to move Brighton players back in. Yeah, that's true. It's a good point. George, you thought Fulham were home against Forest. Oh, they at home? They are. You're right. I'm sorry. Yes. Fulham are at home against Forest. I apologise. My mistake. But still, even then, Forest defensively, I still think have been okay. So, I don't know. I feel like Mitro's just... He's such a, I don't know, hit and miss pick, right? He's just... Sometimes he'll go crazy, but since, when is it? Game week 17, when they doubled. He's not returned, right? He missed a penalty. I just don't know with him. I'm just not convinced, and that's why I think I'd go against him. But just not maybe in the Botman versus Mitrovic decision, because Botman's ceiling is 6. It just is. Like, he just doesn't score any more than that. FPL Boo-Boo, Fernandes to Saka, 1 free transfer. White, Botman to Akanji, or Martinelli to Odegaard for a hit, or only 1 transfer. I think Fernandes to Saka, 1 free transfer. White or Botman to Akanji. I think if you're gonna get rid of Martinelli, just do it this week. You know, this is gonna be a week where if you take that hit, Martinelli is probably gonna, in FPL world, he's gonna return. It's just how it is. But I do like Odegaard longer term. I just think he's more nailed. So you can solve a problem, I suppose, in your team longer term. Abdullah, should you go with Ake, Gakpo or Nketiah, or Lewis, Odegaard and Darwin? Absolutely. Jota is back and can have an effect on Darwin minutes. Exactly what I was going to say. But then I don't like your first option with Gakpo. I don't see anything from Gakpo. You're trying to cover Liverpool for the double, but I don't see anything from him, and that's my concern with those picks. Max, yeah, Forest are away. Sorry, Mitro's playing at home. Understood. You think you might bench March? Yeah, I still think that Mitro's not 100% going to do anything. Dan, would you mind tossing a coin for me? Heads is Mahrez, tails is Grealish. I think I've got a 10p in my wallet. Hold on. I'll do it for you, mate. Coin flips live on stream, guys. Right, 20p. There's a 20p, right? We're going. Tails. I don't know if you can see that. Tails. Tails is Grealish, George. Welcome to the club, mate. Grealish is brave, yeah, it is, mate. But bit of differential, we love it. Abdullah, I think Mahrez is more attacking threat than Grealish. Possibly, I think they're very similar. I think they're very, very similar, and Mahrez's minutes are a risk for me. Sportcat, I could go from Mahrez to Fernandes and upgrade Greenwood to Kane and have that front three of Mitrovic, Haaland, Kane. I mean, that is pretty good. Upgrading Greenwood to Kane makes sense to me. It's just whether longer term you want to have a 3-4-3 formation. That's the decision, I think, Sportcat, is that if you're on a 3-5-2 now, do you want to use those two transfers and shift your formation longer term? You committed to ignore Pep Roulette. Yeah, I was very close to doing the same, but I just felt I wanted to get another City guy in, to be honest, and I don't trust the defensive rotation. I feel like the attacking rotation is less at the moment because of Foden. He's just out of favour with Pep. Start Wilson or Matoma. Oh my God, that is a horrendous choice, SJ. That is a horrible, horrible debate. Is there anyone else that you can bench, mate? Anybody else? Because both of them I think are very good. Newcastle's attack, I will agree, hasn't been necessarily on fire at the moment. And with Isak back, Wilson maybe doesn't get 90 minutes, but he is on penalties. I don't know, mate. Is there anyone else you'd consider? Abdullah, even if Mahrez plays against Villa and Grealish plays both games, Mahrez will outscore Grealish. Okay, mate. If that's what you think, go for it. I've just gone with Grealish. I think he's going to outscore Mahrez. You're going to stick with it and play Mitro ahead of March. Wish you luck. I'll be gutted if March hauls. Max, look, I think it's really close. I genuinely do. Mitro's on penalties at the end of the day. I've just got a feeling, well, he should be on penalties still, even after the misses. It could be Andreas, right? I've just got a feeling, though, that Mitro doesn't do anything still. Forest have just improved defensively. So I know I got the home versus away fixture wrong. Sorry about that. That's just a schoolboy error, but I wish you luck. Grealish it is then. Mate, George, you're leaving coin flips to decide your moves. You are a brave man. 20p for the 20 points for the one you don't pick. Adrian, what's your mindset in general with intentionally having differentials, like how many versus a template team? I don't necessarily look at it too much. I think it's something I do consider. Definitely when I was on the wild card for the World Cup, I did consider it. So Odegaard for me, for example, over Almiron was a debate that I had during the kind of the streams, the team selections, everything else. Almiron was in that purple patch, but I just felt that Odegaard would do better over that longer term. So he was a differential at that time. So I do intentionally look at them sometimes, but not on maybe free transfers, if that answers the question. I tend to look at them on wild cards and the bigger picture usually. The only reason I've gone with a differential this week is because it's double game week, really, in Grealish. I just think I've gone against the crowd with Mahrez. It could hurt me. Like I said, I'll be humbled sooner rather than later, guys. I'm not going to get green arrow after green arrow until I reach rank 1. It's not going to happen. Like, I will get a red arrow at some point. I'm on such a good run. I felt Grealish was the winner. You really want him in your team as well, Arman? Yeah, it's just I genuinely think that it's a coin flip. Literally, should you go Gakpo to Mudryk, Abdullah? I think I prefer Mudryk longer term to Gakpo, if I'm honest. George, you're going to go cook some breakfast. Enjoy, mate. Enjoy. Full English. Max, thanks for your input. Really enjoying the stream. Thanks, mate. It's just, these debates are what make the stream, though, right? It's so difficult to get everything right. I just think the mindset is you've got to laugh if you do get things wrong every now and again. It's just how it is. I mean, I don't know if anybody saw, but if you're on Twitter, FPL Focal, I think, was inspired by somebody else to do like a bad game weeks thread. And it was just hilarious, like reading through the different scenarios. It's just, you can't always get FPL right, and you shouldn't let it affect you. Just make the decision. Give yourself the best opportunity to get as many points as you can. But if March halls, bud, don't let it upset your weekend, mate. Just, you've made the decision. It's all just a bit of fun. Jedi, please don't laugh. I currently have Rashi on the bench for Andreas. You fancy Fulham to do well versus Forest. 3-4-3. Bruno, 2 double game weekers, and Rashi or Andreas. I just think, I understand the logic, but I think you have to go with Rashford, mate. You have to go. Leeds didn't look, I mean, they didn't look massively disorganised. I felt that they would be worse after sacking Jesse Marsh, I'm not going to lie. But honestly, Rashford against Leeds, my only concern with it is if he doesn't play left wing. But, it's just a killer benching him, mate. I just don't think I could do it. Should you risk it and hope Kane doesn't do anything against Leicester? Oh, mate, he loves Leicester, though, as a fixture. And I think he's just too consistent. Seb, hi, Dan. I have to leave, but just a quick question. Mahrez or Grealish? I'm going to be back in 40 minutes. No problem, Seb. Welcome to the stream, mate. I've gone for Grealish, mate. So I have to answer Grealish on that question. Lazio, hey, mate, would you start Dunk or Andreas? I'd probably start Dunk. I just think that against Palace, yes, his ceiling is probably 6 points. Palace are without Zaha. Clean sheet is there. Andreas is on set pieces, but I don't know. I don't think Fulham are going to do anything. I've just got a feeling. SJ, Fernandes, Rashford, Odegaard, KDB, Nketiah, Haaland. It's between Wilson and Matoma. You don't think you can replace them with any other players? Okay, I see your problem. I think you start Matoma then. He's just the one that's in form, and I don't really trust Newcastle's attack at the moment, if I'm honest. Remember to like the video, guys. Wish you luck for the 10k race. Yes, Adrian, thank you very much. I don't really ask, to be honest. Look, if you are enjoying it, crack on, like it for me. It really does help the channel out. If you haven't subscribed yet as well, hit the button for me. But there's a little animation as well to help us out. But, do as you will, guys. It's not a problem if you don't. Sportcat is so difficult. You may risk it and hope Kane doesn't do anything. It is difficult. It is. It is a difficult week to navigate, in my opinion. There are lots of different scenarios. I just think Kane is consistent. And if you sound like a manager that wants long-term holds. You want to make your moves and you want guaranteed starters. You want, consistency. And I think Kane gives you that. That's my opinion on the move. Armin, Reece James looked tempting, doesn't he? Please make the move so I can clean the league. Nah, it's not happening. I'm just not going to go there this season, I don't think. He looked okay. I don't think he looked as sharp. I think Potter's told him to be less attacking. I think because he pulled his muscle again so shortly after returning and he was herring it down that right side, I think he's going to ask him to withhold himself a little bit, suppress that inner Reece James that we know he's capable of. So I don't think he's a great option, if I'm honest. You think Kane has more goals versus Leicester than anybody else? Yeah, I agree, Stu. I think genuinely Kane is just... He's on fire at the moment, guys. Tanoki, what do you mean by the worst game week thread? I want to read that. Is there a link? Maybe I can find it on Twitter. Let me find it on Twitter. I retweeted it. Are you on Twitter, Tanoki? I can't remember. I'm pretty certain you said you're not before. Where's my... Let's bang that in there. This is the one I'm talking about. So just have a look at this. Click onto Focal. This is my retweet of Focal's worst or most hilarious moments, basically. And it just summarises how FPL can just... It's just unpredictable. It includes things like Digne scoring in his own net after being on for a clean sheet and bonus points, for example. It's when obviously the Queen's death happened and we had all those postponements, so early on in the season after people had already wildcarded. It was just like there was just lots of different mishaps in the footballing world that meant it was difficult to navigate and get right. So just something to read. It's quite funny. You'd start Matoma over Wilson. Yeah, I think I agree. I think Matoma over Wilson is the one. Abdullah Kane will smash Leicester. Sportcat, but the issue is a -4 worth it for Fernandes to Mahrez and Greenwood to Kane. Well, Greenwood is a 1 point player. So again, it goes back to that point about the structure of your team. You're shifting from what I imagine is a 3-5-2 for most weeks because nobody's really playing 4-4-2. You're shifting into a 3-4-3 with that move because Greenwood is your budget player. So you have to just look longer term at the structure of your squad to make that -4, in my opinion, overall worth it longer term. But like I said, you seem like the type of manager that wants consistency. And the only man in this FPL world at the moment that I feel like is really consistent is Kane. He doesn't score like 16 points every week, but he scores. And that is very important for a striker, no? Kane has 19 goals against Leicester. There you go. What a statistic. Thank you, Abdullah. You're not on Twitter, no. But still, that link you should still be able to read it, no? Would you say it's worth a -4? Abdullah has spoken, I think. Foden for Saka, Dan. Please do it. Tanoki, read it, but no account. Okay, sure. Ez Shark, TAA or to Botman or Tarkovsky. Well, I wouldn't go to Botman ahead of his blank game week. He's got Bournemouth this week, sure, but then he's got Liverpool and then blanks in 25. So I think I'd probably go to Tarkovsky, but then you're not going to play him this week against Liverpool, are you? I don't know. Is that the only move that you can do this week? Abdullah, yes, it's worth it. There we go. He's spoken. Tanoki, absolutely not Botman now. Yeah, indeed. I just think that ahead of a blank game week, it's very, very difficult to justify that. Very difficult. Where are we at anyway? Right, 10:15. So we've got 45 minutes to decide on if I'm locking in a -4. I think I am. I think I'm going to go for Zinchenko, but things to talk about. You've made your breakfast. Enjoy. What did you go with, mate? What did you go with? It's the best meal of the day, breakfast, isn't it? Really, you've got to start the day right, boys. You've got to start the day right. You microwaved your pizza from last night. Look, that's a hero's breakfast right there. Mate, the thread is hilarious. I think Digne did the same last season as well with Everton. This is what I'm saying. So it didn't like humble me in some ways, but it just made me realise that it doesn't, like when we take a little bit of a chance here and there, sometimes they pay off and sometimes they don't. It's just very difficult to predict this stuff. Nobody's the oracle. Nobody's got a crystal ball. At the end of the day, we just make decisions based on how many points we think these players are going to score. And that thread, just like I say, it humbled me a bit because I thought, well, it doesn't matter if I get it wrong. As long as I'm enjoying the game, that is the main thing. That is why I play the game. So I just think that if it does affect your mental health so negatively, I just wouldn't play it. That's my personal take on it anyway. Abdullah, is Kilman a better option than Mings in game week 25? I don't know. Wolves have looked a little bit sharper defensively, I must admit. Lopetegui's doing some work with them. But is he better than an Unai Emery team that's also going to be improving? It's a difficult call, that. I think because you're on wildcard, I would say you have to take the information that's available to us as of today. And I'm going to say that Wolves look better than Villa in recent weeks. That can change later on, but I would say in your wild card, I would probably go with Kilman over Mings. Ez Shark, no, you're benching Tarkovsky. You're just getting him to play when Newcastle blank and playing Bueno this week. Fair enough. Okay. So if this is your only move, then I don't mind the TAA to Tarkovsky move then. If you're benching him and you've got the luxury in a double game week to make that move, to plan for the future, go for it. Like I say, my difficulty is when you've got so many upside players of doubles with Saka, with City, with with all of these options, of course Arsenal as well, with the double in 25, are you already on triple Arsenal? Are you happy with that? Like, ask yourself the other questions, I guess. Because that simple TAA to Tarkowski, that's knocked me for six a little bit, really, because I don't feel like any manager has the luxury to do it, unless your team is absolutely perfect, sir. Sportcat, if I go for those transfers, I will switch to a 3-4-3, but every week you'll have to bench one of Matoma, Rashford, Martinelli, Mahrez or Odegaard. So what I would plan for then, Sportcat, is Martinelli probably needs to become an Andreas at some point later down the line for you. So then you've shifted Greenwood, in effect, to Andreas, if that makes sense. You can't have the bench headaches every week, but you just navigate the next few weeks and go, is this the right time for Kane to come in, to bring you to the 3-4-3? There's some tricky fixtures down the line for maybe some of these players. You're able to bench them in order to kind of, have the luxury transfer then of doing Martinelli down to Andreas, for example. That's kind of my logic with it. You only see Grealish getting assists, not many goals. Well, he came on as a substitute for United and scored within 20 minutes, less, 10 minutes, I think. I think he can score goals. He doesn't score many. Against his old club, Villa, I feel like it's set up for him to do something. But I do agree that the assist potential is probably higher for Grealish and the goal potential for Mahrez is probably higher. You also did some mathematical equations and decided Grealish is clear of Mahrez. Mate, please share these equations. I want to see them so I can just put them on screen and the debate will be settled. Tanoki, I just play FPL to flex on a bunch of Football Manager nerds. Fair enough. You got through on the cup again. 101 to 84. Nice one. I think I might only still be in the Man United Cup. I don't really know, again, because I don't really pay attention. Okay, I didn't realise there was mini league cups, but apparently I won the Let's Talk FPL Cup. England Cup, sorry, look. Okay, 96 to 68. No, 92 to 75, of course, because it goes up, doesn't it? Not something I pay attention to be honest with you guys, but well done, mate. Well done. Armin, I swear Digne's fullback partner always hauls whenever Digne is a popular pick. Matty Cash and Coleman. Didn't Matty Cash, was it on the double? Didn't he score 2 goals and get an assist and like 2 clean sheets or something crazy? Yeah, that's so true, mate. Watkins or Bruno? In terms of benching options, I think you probably bench Watkins, right? And you play Bruno, surely. Dan, I think there should be football shirt for winner of FPL Link Cup. I mean, it won't be on the cup. It will just be on the mini league overall. I won't do it for the cup. Shark, I've got triple Arsenal, Saka, Odegaard, and Nketiah. Perfect. So I think they're probably the 3 assets that are preferred. I would say double City, Haaland, and KDB. Triple United, Shaw, Bruno, and Rashford. For this game week, you'll be playing Bueno, Shaw, and Trippier. Okay. So I think, to be honest, then you've got the luxury. You do. You have the luxury of being able to move TAA to Tarkowski. I like the move, mate. Sportcat, you could roll in game week 24 if you do your main transfers. I think that's positive as well. Does that give you that flexibility then? Get rid of Cancelo in 24. Okay. Does that give you the flexibility? Would you prefer to have the 2 free transfers in 25? Or do you need to offload Cancelo in 24? Because then in 24, we go back to that decision where Martinelli may be a risk beyond this double game week. So in 24, maybe you look at him down to an Andreas, for example, truly shifting your team into a 3-4-3 as a possible option. Jedi Stew, off topic, your local league, you play for money, 3 cash prizes, top at Christmas, top March and April performer, and of course overall winner. You've kept your triple captain for March, April prize. Very nice, very nice. Your team, Leno, Trippier, Burn, Gabriel, Rashford, Saka, Matoma, Odegaard, Watkins, Kane, Haaland. My opinion. So have you made any transfers already? If you haven't, I mean, I think I play... Okay, Leno, sure. That makes sense, I suppose, against Forest that, they don't score many goals. Kind of makes sense to me. Trippier, Burn, Gabriel... Okay, so we've got the double Newcastle defenders. You're benching Shaw, which I agree with. Gabriel double. Rashford, fine. Saka, fine. Matoma, Odegaard. Ollie Watkins. I think I would maybe play Shaw over Watkins, though. I don't think Villa score against City. That's my only advice, I think, there. If you've not used a transfer, I would maybe say that's close between Watkins and Shaw. Right, I'm behind a little bit again on chat. Sorry, George. Basically, Grealish has 8 letters. Mahrez has 6. Last time you checked, 8 was bigger than 6. Also, 8 and 6 are realistic points in FPL. This means Grealish will score 8 points in each game and Mahrez 6. Mate, let's just go with that. We'll go with that logic. Jedi, you'll be looking for advice come March. Sure, that's what I'm here for. Tom B, which 2 would you say to start out of Bruno Botman and Rico Lewis? Bruno and Botman, mate. I don't think Rico Lewis gets enough consistent minutes to play in the double, sir. Genuinely. Sportcat, the issue is I might not want to start Matoma every week. Okay, definitely, but then Matoma you don't want to get rid of because of his double in 27, surely. Alrighto Burrito, thanks for the help. No worries, Shark. Dan, do you have any websites for a good fixture ticker? I use Fantasy Football Scout for mine. But, I mean, there's lots of third-party websites I suppose you can use, but I do use Scout. Sportcat, but who should I transfer in for Cancelo then if I want to keep them for the long term? That is a debate. That is the debate. I don't hate the Shaw move, to be honest, out in 24 either, because I'm going to personally get rid of him in 25, so that's an option as well. Kepa 20-point haul incoming, what, because he's benched him? Yeah, that would be funny. Morning, Harry. I'm struggling with Martinelli. Should I keep him because I want to get Matoma, but I have Almiron, and I think they both blank, so it would be a wasted transfer? Yeah, I think Martinelli, because he is a little bit of a risk. He's got the double, I suppose, and he has got fixtures in 25. I think if you want to get Matoma, I think you sell Almiron for him. I'm going to be honest. He hasn't looked as good. The issue with chasing form, though, Harry, is that Matoma is in a purple patch. Almiron was in one before. True FPL trolling will mean that when you transfer Matoma in, he blanks and Almiron hauls. Just something to consider that against Bournemouth, this is a very promising fixture. So is it a priority transfer for you? Just think about it, I suppose. Both, but like you say, both of them blank. So you're going to have to navigate game week 25 with benching Matoma as well. So you've got to take that into consideration too. He's going to save 3 penalties. That is definitely some overestimation. Welcome back, Seb. So who to bench, Matoma or Bruno? Oh, mate, that is such a horrible dilemma, mate, that you've got yourself in. Is there anyone else? Is there anyone else that you can bring in? What are your thoughts on getting rid of Shaw and going to where we already discussed it? I just need to have a look at who. That is the problem. So if we go, I'm not going to do this on screen quickly. Sorry, guys, I will be behind on chat now because I'm just going to check something. So if you have a look at the season ticker, let's look at defensive options from game week 24 in terms of difficulty. Let's go to, let's say, 29 or 28 because we know that blank game week 28 is definitely going to happen. The best 3 teams in terms of the season ticker from 24 are Arsenal, Liverpool and Everton. So technically you could go Luke Shaw to Tarkowski or Cancelo to Tarkowski in 24. I don't hate that move because he's got Leeds. You're not necessarily going to go Arsenal if you've already tripled up. Liverpool I'm not too sure about. You could take the risk, but you'd have to go for either Robertson or Trent or someone high priced. I'm not convinced with that. So I think Tarkowski makes sense for me in 24 onwards, mate. George, thanks, Dan. I passed year 1 maths last week, so I'm just flexing your knowledge. See, I genuinely thought you were going to come at me with like X equals and some proper algebra, but you've come at me with numbers of the number of letters in their name. But listen, I take it. You misunderstood the 6 and 8 thing. That's what Pep uses his random number generator to decide who to start. George McGowan, still not convinced on Zinchenko. 1 assist all season in game week 1. Gabriel for 1.1 more and due another goal. True, I think you're right there, George. It's just that 0.1, I'm so close in 25. If there's price rises and falls over the next few weeks, that 0.1 could prove absolutely massive for me in my planned moves. which is why I kind of leant towards Zinchenko. I know what you mean about 1 assist, but he's not played as many minutes as Gabriel has, right? So he was injured. I just think I've got a feeling with him. I genuinely have. And again, maybe that's wrong because I've got a feeling with Grealish. It's a little bit differential on both parts. Definitely. It's your first season, so it's still very difficult. Honestly, the only player is probably Reece James. Potter could sub him after 61 minutes. That's another positive, yes. So early substitutions can mean clean sheet bankers as long as he gets to the 60-minute mark. Don't jinx my Matoma. Sorry, George. Harry, thank you for the advice. No problem, mate. I hope it helped. You're rolling your transfers, no KDB or Mahrez. You're betting Bruno can get a return and cover the total points. Well, I'm in the Fernandes club, sir. I didn't sell him, so I hope so too. If you transfer Kane in and he blanks, but the thing is, mate, you're covering all of this. You're in that analysis mode where you're literally talking about every eventuality, and it's forcing you to push yourself into one route. You know, you're creating the narrative of, oh, but what if he blanks? Don't think about it that way. It's not necessarily the -4 for this week, and Kane needs to go and score 12 points. When you take a hit, it's all about longer term. And like I said, you are a manager that has come at me with questions about consistency, expected minutes, and essentially players that you want to play every week. And Harry Kane fits the mould for that. That's why I've answered the question in that way. It shouldn't be about what if Kane blanks? Because when you ask those types of questions, you're mentally preparing yourself for disappointment. Do you see what I'm saying? Like you've already created the narrative of, well, he blanked. I shouldn't have done it. Wrong way to look at it. It's got to be over the course of 4 or 5 weeks to say that -4 looked good. Like, hopefully that helps, but just I think that topic can be put to bed. It's just genuinely like, I don't see how else you can look at it. There are other options for you, sir, but genuinely, like, you're doing well this season, mate. Don't knock yourself. Like, you will get better at the game over time anyway. Still undecided between Dunk and Shaw, but Palace at home, similar to Leeds, both can easily score, so I'm back on Shaw over Dunk for all-round threat. Okay, makes sense. I do kind of agree with the threat side. But Palace, do you think they can score? Do you think they can score a goal? I mean, you know, Elise, Eze, you know, Edouard to some degree, I suppose, but missing Zaha, is he not really their kind of main threat and missing? That's my question mark over it. Matoma is your vice-captain this week. Interesting. Interesting. I mean, I don't think it probably comes into play though, right? Surely. Seb, so your team is Kepa, Lewis, White, Trippier, Grealish, Odegaard, Rashford, Kane, Haaland and Nketiah. So then the question is Matoma or Bruno. Also have Shaw on the bench. Well, I think for me, Luke Shaw, absolutely, I can go with that on the bench. The issue you've got, you can't bench Kane or Haaland or Nketiah, really. You can't bench Rashford either, surely not. So you are on a... Hold on. So basically you play out of the... Because I can only see 3 midfielders there. So you're going to be definitely playing Matoma or Bruno. I think you play Bruno ahead of Matoma, mate. Like, look, it just... He's on penalties. He's on so much more set pieces. Matoma's on fire. But I think you've got to play Bruno there, surely. If you're going to hold on to him. George, that's why you went for Zinchenko as your Arsenal defender as well. What, just for the differential? The real setup for disappointment is playing FPL in the first place. It's a good point. Dunk versus Shaw is hard. They both have 4 letters. Yeah, that's a bit of a tough one, isn't it, mate? Bit of a tough one. I'm a very negative person, Dan. I truly am. Not just about FPL, just general life, such as school. I've told people they just need to put up with me being negative. Well, listen. With FPL, it is like I've said to you earlier in the stream. It's just a bit of fun. Like, don't. If something goes wrong, then just accept that you've just made a wrong move at one point. It doesn't matter. Like, not everybody can get the strongest team every week to get Gameweek rank 1. It just doesn't happen. So look, you're just outside the 1 million now, right? That's not a bad first season. You're playing it as an engaged manager as well. Like, my first season, I think I was like 2 million in the world. At the time, there was obviously a lot less players, but I played it casually and I didn't know what I was doing. You're much more engaged. Just give yourself time. You will get there, sir. George, now because of the letters. Yeah, that's what I mean. So it's literally 4 versus 4. Tanoki, I'd use George's algorithm, but can only count to 1. Maths is hard. English is hard sometimes as well. The amount of cock-ups I make on this stream sometimes. 100k on second chance is insane. I didn't actually check where I am. I was 5k last time I looked. We're 6k now, guys. We've got a red arrow. We actually have a red arrow in the second chance league. Look at that. 6.2k. Like I said, if I get inside the top 1k for second chance, I'll start taking it seriously. But then, to be honest, from what I've seen on Twitter, official FPL aren't even giving out the prizes. So what's the point? Sportcat, very competitive. You have a massive forfeit with your mini league, so you need to win. Fair enough, mate. Fair enough. But then, how many people are in that mini league? Is it second place down that all have to forfeit? Do you have to win it? I think you start Matoma over Shaw. Tanoki, you're just picking it early season and now you're flying. Yeah, I think you're going to play Bruno, but also you think that Matoma could get so much against Palace. You think you're going to be mad if you bench him and then he gets 12 points. Again, it's the same logic though, Seb. I think that ultimately you can play fixture or form. Matoma is on form. Fernandes, I think, probably just about edges the better fixture. And overall, as an FPL option, he plays more set pieces, everything else. So I think there is a higher upside potential in Fernandes over Matoma. Remember, Matoma only got his 11 points, by the way, because he scored an 87th minute winner. So he's not like, he's not smashing it really early and he's, it's 100% happening. I know a goal is a goal, but I still think that Bruno is the better option. You cannot hurt yourself over having 12 points on the bench, though. That is the aim of the game. Sometimes that's what happens. Estepinian is on your radar. Gotta be, mate. It's why Kepa is doing so well, though. Everyone forgets that I'm not even going to try and say his other part of his name. I'm so glad we can call him Kepa. I've schoolboyed on so many recordings trying to say that. Honestly. Maybe I should start keeping my bloopers and do a video for you guys so that you see how many mistakes I make. Because I don't script any of my videos. I just talk free flow. So I make a lot of boo-boos. I've had 7 consecutive green arrows in all the leagues you're playing in. This is what I'm saying. So you're doing really well, bud. Second chance leads has prizes. Yeah, I know. Then you have a great chance to be in the top 1k in second chance. Yeah, I do, Abdullah, and I will take it seriously, I think, if I start getting into that territory. But again, I'm still going to play for overall rank, to be honest. You're 29 points off of the bottom. That's pretty good. Greenwood to Kane is a massive upgrade. Kepa has done brilliantly. Yes, mate. I think Greenwood to Kane, for me, honestly, Sportcat, that's the move you make. But I'm sold on it. I think your -4 is definitely something you need to do. Seb, okay, I remember when I trusted you playing Rashford instead of Almiron and Rashford scored and Almiron blanked, so I'm going to trust you. Oh, man, it kills me. It kills me when you say this stuff, Seb. I hope it works out for you, mate. I genuinely do. I guess you could say you make a lot of FPL boo-boos. Exactly that, mate. You got it. Shout out, mate. Shout out again. He gets so much love in this stream, doesn't he? What a name, though. I just still think it's one of the best names I've seen. It just makes me laugh every time I read it. FPL boo-boo, man. Right, guys, we're 25 minutes away from the deadline, so I feel like I should make my move if I'm going to make the move, right? Are we getting it locked in? Are we doing Botman to Gabriel, or are we doing? Because I've put White there, so let's change this, right? Let's change the possible transfers because I don't think I'm going to go White. Who do I go? Joe Davis, start one of Shaw, Walker or Botman. Yeah, I would agree with Tanoki. You start Botman there. Sportcat, do you actually need to bring in another City player anyway and just play Fernandes for 1 free transfer and no hits? You could do that. You could. I mean, you're obviously sold on Mahrez, right? So Mahrez is a strong move anyway. I think a City midfielder is okay. You just have to be prepared for the roulette. 3 City isn't essential because of Pep. Yeah, indeed, mate. Zinchenko, George is on. It's so close between the two of them. I'm gonna have a look at the budget again in a second, and I will show what that 0.1 makes a difference on, and see if you still think Zinchenko's the one. You're back on Dunk over Shaw. New manager bounce at Ellen Road, and Palace have most chances conceded from headers. Yeah, mate. I don't think Dunk will score, but I do think I did say it, didn't I? I did say him over Shaw. Vote. You want me to do a poll? Well, we got 28 in the chat, so let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do a poll. Start a poll. Who should my -4 transfer be for Botman? Gabriel, Zinchenko. Boom. Poll is up, guys. Poll is up. Now, sorry, on stream, I don't know how to kind of like hide this area just down the bottom. So it's just the votes are going to be quite visible for a long time. So sorry, you won't be able to see much of the chat. What are my thoughts on Rico Lewis? Abdullah, I'm just not convinced with him in terms of minutes. I genuinely don't think he gets the double. If you go for that -4, you'll have 1.1 million in the bank, which is still really good. And you've got Cancelo in the team still, no? Who do you bench, Mitro or Matoma or for Nketiah? Who do you bench, Mitro or Matoma for Nketiah? You bench Mitro there, bud, I think. Matoma's in the purple patch. Got to go for Nketiah. Sportcat, you're in the FPL Cup and now you're getting extremely competitive and might not want to do that. Well, listen, the -4, I think, does come off the Cup games, doesn't it? So if you're focused on, it depends on what you want to do. Again, you can't have all of the cake and eat it. It's impossible to have every single thing go your way. Mini leagues, the Cup, Second Chance League, and overall rank. Like, you can't have everything. You're just going to have to make a decision on what you're prioritising this week particularly. If you want to stay in the Cup, don't take the -4. So most people have gone for Gabriel so far. We've had 15 votes. Only 27% of you have gone with Zinchenko. 73% of you have gone with Gabriel. Abdullah, I think this is the highest number of people on the live stream. Yeah, usually I think we get about, 15 maximum. So, yeah, welcome to everybody. Hello. I think the highest I've ever had is when Focal raided me. But that was really early on in my my YouTube journey. You prioritise fun. Same as me, George. Like, I just want to enjoy the game. Aside from raids, yeah. Aside from raids, I think this is the most consistent. We had nearly 30 viewers at one point, but people come and go. They want advice, and then obviously they leave. So that's fine. I'm all good with that. But if you do enjoy the content, guys, then absolutely, first plug of the day, smash that subscribe button. Why not? I make a few videos a week, live stream every week, so feel free to do it, guys, if you're new. So we've had 17 votes. I'm going to close it there, I think, because I don't feel like anybody else is going to be voting. And we've got a winner. We've got a winner. 70% of you think Gabriel. So now let's just go back to the future planning, because if I was to do in 23 the Gabriel move. So I'll have 2.2 in the bank at this point. I roll in 24. I have 0.2 to play around with for this move in 25. So if Tarkovsky or Salah move in any way, shape or form, or Fernandez drops in price, or Shaw drops in price by any amount, that's where I'm really cutting it fine with these moves. Really cutting it fine. That's why I felt a little bit more comfortable with just 0.1. Now, I know it sounds really silly, but I've been burned before with stuff like this. So I'm going to trust the stream, though. 1% my Nats Poodle. I'm going to go with Gabriel, I think. I'm going to go with Gabriel. My thoughts on Rico Lewis versus Ake. I think Ake would get a bit more consistent, to be honest. That's probably where I would go. I just think Lewis doesn't get enough consistency, mate. Barmy Army, you feel like a Mitro 15-pointer is odd. Saka has less total blanks than Haaland. Was captaincy close for you? Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. But I've just decided to go with Haaland. George, you and your mates just use FPL for extra fun when we watch games. Exactly. I just think it's got to be there. Like, it's just meant to be a bit of entertainment for us. I mean, look, I create content for it, so obviously I do take it a little bit more seriously than the average person, but I do enjoy it. I enjoy talking about football. I enjoy talking about FPL. That's why we're here. Shoot, you have to start Shaw and bench Mitoma as you currently only have 2 defenders. Well, I mean, we're back to square one almost, aren't we, with that? Kabil, who to start, Tony or Andreas? Very close call, but I think I would start Tony. On penalties, 100% record. It is a tough fixture against Arsenal, but he's scored against them before. Considering FPL experts have gone for Rico, yeah, I think, is that not to do with budget, though? Is that not just because they're looking at that 3.9 and saying that makes the most sense? Which website do I use to monitor price changes? So overnight, I look at FPL statistics. But obviously, in terms of the pluses and the minuses, I look at Twitter and Live FPL is when I get the confirmed ones. Sportcat, this is horrible. I never realised this. Yeah, it just takes you back to almost square one in terms of your transfers, right? George, Tanoki, this is why I said use third-party websites as well, Sportcat, because it allows you to shape your team up on bench options and stuff like that as well. Tanoki, can the Poodle play left back? I thought you didn't want Gabriel because Salah. Yeah, so that's what I just showcased there, Tanoki, is I'm 0.2. I still have just enough money to be able to do the Tarkovsky and Salah move. I can do it, but it's so reliant on no shifts of price over the next few weeks. So I think I'm going to go Gabriel. Ben Krellin said that this should be open to all chip strategies until 26-27. That's why Salah and Tarko 25 makes the most sense. One with the guaranteed 28, one with potential. Exactly. So I think in 25, I'm taking the -4 this week because then I don't take a hit in 25, which was kind of the original plan or the original shape up. It does mean I have to play Sam Greenwood. That's only probably going to be good for a point. But we've seen him come on before and get an assist. So maybe he comes on and does something for me. So it's not ideal, but it does mean that I'm shaping up my team to be in a very strong position from 26 onwards, which is what I like. Barmy Army, you're all right. You're trusting and benching Mitro. Mate, if it goes wrong, I do apologise. But genuinely, I just don't think he's shown enough. I don't think he's shown enough, mate, in recent weeks. Benching Mitoma is not ideal. No, it's not, sir. Start Shaw or Bueno, I would start Shaw. George out of position player, goalkeeper. Poodle as a goalkeeper. Salah should drop again. Yeah, I mean, if he does, that's great. So if Salah goes down to 12.6, I give myself just that little bit of leverage. But I think Gabriel then is definitely the one that makes the most sense. Dan, when you're planning to wildcard and free hit, so I'm a little bit, I'm still open. I'm still open. I think there is every chance that if I can navigate 28 without free hitting, then I will do that. I will dead end my team into 28 to then wildcard in 29 more than likely, free hit in 32 or bench boost in 32, and then obviously use the last chip in 34. So I'll be essentially using chips in all of the remaining double game weeks. That's pretty much the plan at the moment. Tarkovsky might rise, yes, because I think a lot of people are looking at him, but some people are on wild cards to bring him in, which doesn't affect prices. So I think 4.2, maximum 4.3 is where he could go, but I've still got that tiny bit of flexibility if I go Gabriel, so I think I'm going to do it. Jota in game week 25, not Salah, remember that. Yeah, look, that's an option with him returning. Absolutely, if he looks good enough, mate, I'm more than happy to do that move. That means that I'm not under pressure in terms of finances, right? Which is weird for me to say because all season I've never felt under pressure with money. It's never been tight for me at all. Start Matoma or Mitrovic, you could do that. Bueno has a much easier fixture. He does, but I mean, I'm still. I do think it was tactical. I do think it was tactical reasons why he didn't start against Liverpool. I mean, he gets 70 to 80 minutes pretty consistently and then gets substituted. So if you feel like Wolves are possibly going to keep a clean sheet for the first 60 minutes against Southampton, which is pretty high up there in terms of chance, right? Bueno could be the option. Bueno could be the option. I just think that, you know, with Matoma, though, Matoma in his form, I can't see... How do you not play him, man? How do you not play him? You're starting Matoma over Mitrovic. Yeah, this is what I'm saying. I just don't think you can bench Matoma. Abdullah, Danny's becoming obsessed with Salah, just like Andy. No, I'm not obsessed with him. Not obsessed with him. I think I do want to keep an eye on it, but I like what George mentioned with Diaz as well. So we do have Liverpool options. I haven't been convinced with Gakpo. Darwin is just an XG machine that doesn't score. Salah is not in form. Diaz and Jota potentially could obviously come back and do well, which is something to keep an eye on. Jota, I think, comes back before Diaz, though, so he might find some form. And if Jota comes back, then, mate, I will absolutely jump onto him instead of Salah. Definitely. I'm under no illusion, Abdullah, that I would jump onto a different asset. Either way, you're going to regret it. I hope not, Barmy. I mean, I genuinely think that Mitro, he's not going to be returning this week. I'm going to say it out loud. I'm going to go with that. That's it. Bueno will not play against Liverpool because of tactical mindset. Yeah, I think that was the case with Klopp. Godwin, start 2. Nonto, Shaw and Thiago Silva. I'd probably start... Nonto looked good against us, mate, midweek. So I think I start Nonto for sure. And then you've got to start Thiago. I think without Casemiro, Man United look a little bit open. So I see us conceding, which is why I've got Luke Shaw on the bench. It's guaranteed almost with Bueno, Brighton, Shaw, we're going to get it wrong either way. So I'm just going differential. Makes sense. Football Lord, you should buy Martinelli. Yeah, sure. Probably the most troll transfer that could take place this week. George, you're stuck on whether you should sell Fernandes to Mahrez or KDB or go Martinelli to Saka. I mean, Martinelli to Saka is sideways, but it does solve a problem, I suppose, for you, potentially. Fernandes to Mahrez or KDB, it's so close between the two. Like, how important is money for you, George? That's where I would go with that. Sport Kane, in that case, you may as well sell Mitrovic for Kane and keep Greenwood if you start Matoma. Yes, that would make sense. That would make sense, mate. After a long thought, I'm starting Wilson over Matoma. Damn, what a call. Good luck with it, SJ, though. Good luck. Abdullah, what are your free hit and wildcard plans? Yeah, so free, like I mentioned, they're not rigid at this point. I think I will be looking at wildcarding in game week 29. I will only free hit in 28 if I can't navigate it with free transfers or just a maximum of -4. I haven't got to that point yet because we don't know, based on the FA Cup results, who's going to be blanking in 28, right? So I can't definitely say I'm going to free hit in 28, although it looks like it's a possibility. My optimal or my most preferred route would be wildcard 29, free hit probably in 32 or 34, and bench boost in the other one, if that makes sense. Why Ward by Sanchez of Brighton? Yeah, we'll always be keeping Mr. Wardy, I think. Palace away is not an easy fixture. But the thing is, I will disagree with that. I don't think Palace pose particularly good defensive numbers or attacking numbers at the moment. Genuinely. I haven't seen enough from them. Selhurst Park is a difficult stadium to go to, but I think Brighton will overrun them. Anyway, we're 10 minutes away. Let's make the move, and then we can be comfortable in what we've done. This is how the team lines up. Where's my transfers? -4 taken, boys. Rodrigo to Grealish, Botman to Gabriel. Live tinkering on stream. There we go. Yeah, 3.2 million. So you could easily go Fernandes to KDB. We're 0.7 left. But Mahrez is in better form. You don't know what to do. Well, here's the thing. I think KDB definitely gets more minutes over this 2 game weeks. And probably across all 4. I think Mahrez is definitely going to be a starter in one of these games. Maybe gets benched in the other. So that's something to consider. And then between game weeks 24 and 25, we have UEFA Champions League again. And I think that Mahrez gets prioritised for the Champions League, George. This is why I've gone with Grealish. Maybe it's a schoolboy. Maybe it turns out wrong. But that's why I've gone with it. So my recommendation to you in this scenario is to go to KDB. Any early team news, anyone? I'm rubbish at stuff like this. I'm the wrong person to tune into for team news. I can't keep up with the chat, the things, this. Definitely need to go onto Twitter for that, I think. Which team is better? Kepa, Shaw, White, Trippier, Matoma, Martinelli, Odegaard, Mahrez, Rashford, Haaland, Kane. Okay, so and then Kepa, White, Bueno, Trippier, Martinelli, Odegaard, Mahrez, Rashford, Haaland, Kane, Mitrovic. I need to visualise. Right, so Kepa, Shaw, White, Trippier, Matoma, Martinelli, Odegaard, Mahrez, Rashford, Haaland, Kane. So you'd have to play Bueno in the second team, which I don't hate. But again, I think I prefer... Because Kane's in both now, isn't it? I think I prefer route 1, mate. I think that makes more sense to me. You get to play Matoma as well as Kane. I'm going to go with the first option. Would you look at City defender for a hit? If you'd played with 10 in 25, otherwise might get 2 extra games this week, but it means losing the Brighton defender now. I don't think I would do that. The reason I've gone for Arsenal defender over City's defence is genuinely because I think that the game week 25 is pushed me. That extra step, if you like, to make that move. I just think City defence has so much rotation as well, mate. Who wants to know why I went Grealish? George has gone me. Oh, boys. More letters in his surname. You think Grealish minutes will be reduced with Foden getting back? Sure. That could happen. Foden's out of favour. Knowing Pep, this is when Grealish gets benched. But look, it's just I've taken a bit of a gamble with it. But this is, again, I feel like if the upside is there. 2 extra games, one this week in 20. One this week, one in 25 with the City defender, but losing one in 27 with the Brighton defender. But who even starts all of them for City? Exactly my point, mate. So much rotation. Like Estepinian is pretty nailed, right, from a Brighton point of view or a Brighton defender. And if that's who you were selling, or even it was Dunk, wasn't it? I think. I still think Dunk's consistent enough or guaranteed enough to play. So I don't know. I don't feel like you do necessarily get that extra fixture, because there is nobody that's nailed. George, thanks for the help. I'm going Fernandes to KDB. Good luck with it, sir. Good luck with it. It was my original transfer plans before I don't know. I just felt that I feel that KDB definitely gets the minutes. Definitely looks like he's going to get the time now. It just made more sense for me to get rid of Rodrigo, to be honest, because he was injured. So that's why I landed on that. But I would have been doing the same, George, if Rodrigo wasn't injured. If you go route 1, buy Mitrovic. If you go route 1, 4 million in the bank. Last chance, you're about to confirm transfers for route 1. Let's do it. Do it, mate. Go for it. Hiya, Luca. Welcome to the stream. You have a bit of a dilemma. Should you get a Kanji for Cucurella and bench Tony and swap back to a back 4, or roll the transfer and start Andreas over Tony? My problem with that is that if you get a Kanji and he doesn't start both games, or he doesn't get to the 60-minute mark, that's where your problem is. And obviously you're benching Tony, who I think he could do something against Arsenal. I know I've just brought in an Arsenal defender for a -4 as well, but it's a double game week in 23 and 25. So I think I would actually start Tony. I don't even think I would start Andreas over Tony in that. So hopefully that makes sense. I think I would just start Tony. I think I start Tony and roll. I genuinely... If you're in a good position, Luca, and you don't have any other double game weekers that you want to target, anything like that, then I think you can roll. But if you don't have triple Arsenal, or you don't have at least double City, then maybe you have a look at different options. No worries, Luke. I hope that helped, mate. George, almost forgot to set your captain. Don't get me nervous like that. Don't get me nervous like that. Okay, right. We've got Shaw, Bueno, Greenwood as the bench order. I do think that makes most sense. Captaincy on Haaland. Saka vice captaincy. Right. Let's screenshot this bad boy. We will tweet it out post deadline. Football Lord, who should I bring in place of Mitro? I mean, have you got the funds for Kane? Probably not, but he is, I think, the best option. The only other option I would go with is maybe Nketiah, if you haven't already got triple Arsenal. Daniel, would you do Almiron to McNeil or Matoma to avoid a price fall? I mean... McNeil, that's an interesting one because he doubles in 25. But then Matoma, of course, doubles in 27, but blanks in 25. I think if I was looking at isolated the next few weeks, Matoma probably gets the most points. Daniel, I think it just makes sense to have a look at game week 25 for you. If you can get away with benching Matoma through the blank, then I would go Almiron to Matoma. If you can't, and it means in extra transfers or -4s, then maybe McNeil is a good choice. Best vice-captain, Odegaard. I've gone with Saka because he's on penalties, mate. Transfers completed. Good luck, sir. You had it on Trippier for some reason. Wow. We haven't seen Doctor in the stream, actually, for a while. He was always Trippier captaincy. I wonder if he's done that. Kepa in for Ward for a -4. My other keeper is Raya. Kepa in for Ward, and your other keeper's Raya. Well, at the end of the day, you have, I suppose, Ward plays in 25 though, right? It's a tough. I don't like goalkeeper transfers for -4. Why don't you just play Ward for save points? I don't think Leicester keep a clean sheet, but why just play Ward? It's the home fixture. You could potentially even play Raya against Arsenal. I just feel like, that's save point potential. It's whoever you think is going to get the most. I don't like that -4, Daniel, if I'm honest, mate. 3 minutes to deadline, guys. 3 minutes. This is where we're at. We'll quickly tweet out the team. And I'm just going to have a look as well. $616 subs, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you for those new subscribers, guys. Welcome. I hope everything that I've given you in terms of advice pays off. I genuinely do. So what's happening? So we've got game week 23 locked in. Sorry, it isn't actually locked, by the way, guys. It's 2 minutes yet. This is just me tweeting. Rodrigo to Grealish. And Botman to Gabriel for a -4. That one, and then pray, boom. Sorted. -4 is like if Ward scores 6 more points. Yeah, I just don't think that makes sense. Last chance to decide between Shaw or Bueno. I think you can take the risk on Bueno. I'd prefer Shaw from an attacking point of view, Sport Cat, but overall, yeah. Daniel, just because for the rest of the season they rotate well, and I've used my wild card, but yeah, fair enough. Saka a bad captain? I don't think he's a bad captain. We didn't really talk about it much on stream, so sorry for anybody that wanted a differential captain. I do think Saka is an option, but I don't think I can't back the Norwegian here. He's due a goal, and he is consistent. Right, he's just not really showcased any form recently. So I don't think Saka's a bad captain. I just prefer Haaland. Abdullah's with me, then Bueno instead of Shaw. Football Lord, what would you say about Neves? Tricky one. I'm not sure. I think he's not consistent enough. Start Ferguson or Almiron? I think I would be tempted to start Ferguson. But, I mean, look, I would probably go with Almiron, to be honest, just because I know Ferguson has shown a lot more form than Undav, but they do have that option, don't they, to use him. So maybe I'd go Almiron against Bournemouth. Abdullah Ferguson minutes will be reduced. Okay, fair enough. Locked in. Well, hopefully, Daniel, you got that in. Hopefully you got that in, my friend. But yeah, let's have a look. It wasn't the easiest game week, this one, to be honest. I mean, like I said, I've taken a -4. It might bite me, but I've gone with the stream. You went for Gabriel over Zinchenko. Hopefully it pays off, guys. Hopefully it pays off. Imagine if Haaland just dries up, FPL will go insane. Well, to be honest, I think if he does dry up a little bit, it just makes for really interesting viewing. Because then captaincy really becomes a debate every week again, which I like. You locked in, George, with Kepa, Dunk, Zinchenko, Trippier, Grealish, Odegaard, Rashford, Bruno, Matoma, Kane and Haaland captain. Good luck, sir. Good luck. I think it's a very strong team there, my friend. Never give up. You are giving a less than 1k YouTube content creator a shout out on Twitter later. You're in great content. Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate that. Thank you. We are certainly locked, Abdullah. We are certainly locked in. You started Almiron. Good stuff. I think that makes the most sense. Ferguson first sub, Shaw second, went Haaland captain, Saka vice, and started Ward ahead of Raya. I think that's fine. The -4, like we said, Daniel, right? The -4 for a goalkeeper on this particular week just doesn't make sense. If it was for a double, I would have said maybe yes, we could look at that as an option. But like I say, mate, good luck to you. I hope the advice pays off for you, mate. And yeah, good to see you, mate. Good to see you. Great name, by the way. Leaving a like, you're a good man. Well, listen, I only really ask for them if I deserve them at the end of the day. If you feel like I deserve it, thank you very much for the support, mate. Very much appreciated. Very much appreciated. Good luck to you as well, Tanoki, sir. Good luck. So it's been a pretty good stream, guys. Thank you. Thank you for joining. I mean, 616 subs. We're getting there. We're getting there. My aim really, again, I don't want to ask every single stream or video, but 700 by the end of February, I would absolutely love to get there. So if you haven't already, then yeah, please do consider subscribing. By the way, Nico returned last week. Oof, mate, he's coming in on the wild card. No, he's got to be. I'm called Daniel. Yes, I am Daniel. It is my name, sir. I do think you deserve a like, so I'll give you one. Perfect, mate. That is what content creators need to do, right? If I'm worthy of it, support it. But yeah, I prefer Dan to Daniel, to be fair, mate. But yes, my full birth name is Daniel. Best of luck to you as well, George. Hoping to push to top 50k. Wouldn't that be nice, mate? Wouldn't that be nice? Good luck to you too, sir. Good luck to you. I mean, if I can get inside the top 100k this week, I'll be absolutely buzzing. Because if another green arrow happens, that's just like... I genuinely wanted to push for the 100k by the end of the season. If I get there at game week 23, whew, mate, that's... I'm in good territory then. You're pushing for top 500k. Well, I think, to be honest... At this stage in the season, I mean, what's your current rank, Tanoki? I can't see the mini league, right? Because everything's locked. But what's your rank at the moment? What a name. Absolutely, mate. Good luck to you as well, George. You realise your name is not the same on FPL. Yeah, that's fine. But yeah, I can't look at the teams, can I? Because the website's down. But yeah, what's your current rank? 700k. I mean, this week only, sure. I think 500k is a target. But mate, at 700k, you can still finish in the top 100. Definitely can still finish in the top 100. You were so tempted by Saka captain. And just having Saka was enough of a differential. Yeah, I can't remember what his ownership is again without looking at the game, but obviously it's down. It's down now for 30 minutes or so. But I think you're right. I think Saka just on his own is enough. There's been a lot of struggle, I think, across the community to get to him because I think some people had already moved for Odegaard. People already had Ben White in their World Cup wild card, and then they would have had Martinelli as well. So I think a lot of people had the double up of Martinelli and White. They wanted to get to Saka, and not everybody's been able to do that without removing someone like Fernandes. So I think we're in a strong position, Daniel, genuinely. You mean top 100k? Yes, top 100k, Tanoki. Top 100, that would be absolutely insane if you got that in your first FPL season. But yeah, top 100k I think is well achievable. Abdullah, Saka ownership is 35.3%. Okay. Maybe not as big of a differential as you thought, but still, I think around... the thing is with ownership, though, you do have to consider effective ownership, which is the people that own him around your rank. Which I think it might be a little bit higher than 35.3, if I'm honest, around my rank. Maybe not. Grealish is definitely a differential. Gabriel, I think, is maybe a little bit, but Odegaard, Saka and Nketiah are very sharp, mate. Very sharp. So that's the thing. I did actually have the money to go Greenwood to Nketiah. If you watch the the team selection video for Game Week 23, I put 2 transfer routes for myself, really, and it was both of them involved the -4. I just couldn't see myself shifting to a 3-4-3. It would have meant not basically keeping Rodrigo on the bench as an injured player, which it's not really a downside, but I just fancied going for a bit of a punt on Grealish, to be honest. Why didn't I go for Nketiah? Yeah, I just felt like longer term. You see, the thing is with me as a manager, you'll just learn this after watching me, I suppose, for a longer time. I do want to go for people that I'm holding in my team for at least maybe 5 weeks. Grealish is a bit different because he's doubling. I know. I suppose I'm not really justifying myself at all here, am I? But I just felt with Nketiah, he's going to eventually have to become Jesus. No, like eventually 27, something around then. He has to come out of teams. So I'm not giving myself that headache. Maybe that's too far ahead in the future after I've made a mistake, but not going to lie, you had a dream that you woke up past deadline. FPL addiction is getting bad. Yeah, man, that's a killer. Your transfers for the week were Fernandes and White to Saka and Tarkowski. You're an Everton fan, that's why I was tempted by McNeil. Well, I think, look, under Sean Dyche, he's definitely going to get more time, right? He's definitely going to get more time on the pitch. So I do understand the temptation. Maybe he's worth looking at in 25, right, rather than this week, because they double. But I like those moves, mate. I think that's fine. You've got pretty much, I think, the best 3 Arsenal assets this week. Speaking of Into Deep Dreams, you've got dreams that PSG stole my Wonder Kids on FM. Jesus is probably out till Game Week 26. Yeah, no, I know that. And like I say, maybe I was just, looking too far ahead, and I really didn't want to shift my formation away from a 3-5-2. But I've made the choice now. I've done it. Yeah, it's a good point. If he comes in Game Week 28, then maybe I should have pulled the trigger on him. And he does look really good in terms of numbers, but yeah, I guess I could have just done one free transfer. I could have kept Rodrigo, changed Greenwood, I think, to Nketiah, and then kept Botman. Like, that would have probably been my play then. So I wouldn't have taken a -4. I wouldn't have had a double defender, but I could have done that later on. So I would have had the Saka, Odegaard and Nketiah dream triple up for a lot of people if I went that route. But I just wanted to be a bit different. Arteta might ease him back in. Yeah, I think he'll probably will do. You might go Salah and Trent in for KDB and Shaw in 25. I think Salah I agree with. Trent I'm a little bit on the fence with still. I think defensively, Virgil van Dijk should be back by then. So yes, there would be more temptation. But I think teams are finally understanding how to exploit Trent and the space he leaves behind. Like, Van Dijk shifts properly into that space. And they've just missed that intelligence of Van Dijk, I think, recently. So it'll be interesting to see. But I think Trent is very conditional for me. I think Salah makes the most sense, though. You think Arteta has proven he is that sort of manager, and especially... Well, that is true. If Nketiah does continue his form, I don't think he's going to rush to remove him from the starting 11. I do agree with that. Like I say, I decided to go a little bit of a different route. Wrongly or rightly. Like I said, guys, I've had green arrows all the way. It's team dependent, I suppose, as well. Green arrows all the way since the World Cup. It's about time that I'm humbled with a red anyway. You can't always get every decision right, huh? Gomez is still an option for Liverpool. He is cheap. But then does he get the minutes, though? I don't know how many minutes he's been playing recently. Because doesn't he usually just play when Trent is benched? And I'm not sure. At that point, you should just double down on no Nketiah. Yeah. I think I kind of have. I think I have doubled down on sort of not going for him, right? Because the moment I made the Rodrigo to Grealish move, it was like, well, I can't bench now any of those midfielders for Greenwood coming in as Nketiah for someone. So I had to go ham, basically, on another doubler and just decided Gabriel, right? Yeah, you did the same, yeah. I mean, I've ignored both of them as well. I've not gone for Almiron, that paid off. I went for Odegaard quite early. And that paid off. He's no longer a differential anymore, but it's still, I think he's been so consistent. It's been great to own him. Mahrez has been on my blacklist since literally like 2 seasons ago. So this is why, again, maybe it's wrong, but I do have an absolute fear that just the moment he showcases any type of form, he'll just turn up late for training or something and Pep just benches him. So that's why I've not done it. Well, not the only reason, but one of. Still green arrows, solid. See, that's the thing. You don't always have to chase form. And this is what I'm saying, is that wild card for the World Cup, everybody was on Almiron. Everybody wanted him. Reece James minutes are the only concern. We are scared of Mahrez. Yeah, man, bring it in. Bring it into Twitter. Because I've just been stung by him too many times. I think twice. I've been stung by him twice. Never again, mate. James's minutes are the only concern. Yeah, I think Potter's really going to manage him. I genuinely think he's going to manage his minutes. They don't want him to get injured. He's such a key player for them. But the problem is that he's not going to have the license to press forward so much. So I can't see myself going for him either this season now. Someone can literally clip that for the week that I bring Reece James in. $618 subs, guys. Thank you so much for the support. Honestly, it just humbles me every time that I see that number increase. Because I'm just me. I just talk about FPL. I just talk about football. But for some reason, some people enjoy watching me. So, thanks. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, you can't fool me again. Well, that is the point. That is the point. I've been stung. You've been stung by Haaland too, not captaining him, eventually costing me 34 points. Mate, to think where certain managers would be if they got captaincy pretty much perfect all season. I mean, I can't go through every week now and review where I got things right or wrong, but I don't think really I've had too many problems with captaincy. He's a mega differential for me. Yeah, good luck, mate. Good luck with it. The problem is also, Gandhi will probably take him off 59 minutes, 57 seconds. Oh my God, can you imagine? I mean, it is the 12:30 as well. It's the 12:30 kickoff. So what we... see you later, Jedi Stew. Well, thank you for joining the stream, by the way. I really appreciate the support as always, mate. So enjoy your weekend. I hope it's a green arrow for you, sir. And I'll see you no doubt soon in another video or a stream. So what are we predicting then, guys, for West Ham versus Chelsea? What do we think the score is going to be there? I think it's going to be a really close game. I've got a feeling that Chelsea might just sneak it like a 1-0 or something. I think it's going to be very close. George, one of your friends captain Salah in the 9. No, mate, this is just that is the type of troll that I'm talking about. He didn't get one return. Madness. Daniel, I'll be fuming. Yeah, man. Like I say, though, try not to let it affect you, though, bud. Still, you've got to enjoy your weekend. You can't let FPL choices ruin your weekend. You know, family, friends, all that good stuff. Like, nobody wants to see somebody sucking on lemons over the wrong FPL choice. It's just, for me, I don't know. I enjoy the game, but I just can't take it to that level of seriousness. Like my old job, so I'm still in their mini league. My old job, there was one of the guys that has consistently been top for a while. And if he ever watches this stream back, he'll know exactly who I'm talking about. There was times where he genuinely came into work, and if he had a crap weekend, if he had a crap FPL weekend, he would come in on the Monday and the shift would be almost horrendous with him because it'd just be so quiet. He wouldn't engage at all. He'd be kind of down in the dumps. And I didn't know his life inside and out, right? But I swear to God, it always seemed to happen when he had bad FPL weeks. And you just got to laugh it off. You just got to laugh it off. Personally, you've treated captaincy as the safe bet while you make the differential on player choices. That makes sense. Yeah, I think I've been the same as you, really, Tanoki. I've always gone for the player that I think is kind of the safer option for captaincy. The only time I've not done it, or the only time I've differentiated on captaincy was Rashford, obviously on those 2 weeks, right? I captained him against, was it Bournemouth? I can't go back now. But I captained him when most people were on Haaland, and I triple captained him when most people were on Haaland in 20. So I've gone differential a couple of times, but I don't think that's been too out of this world. You're going to go 2-1 Chelsea, 2-0 Chelsea, 2-0 Chelsea, 0-0 Chelsea West Ham. Yeah, see, I think it's going to be closer than that. George Kent, you think there's going to be 3 goals in this game? Interesting. What happened to Kepa saving? Or you still think Kepa's going to concede but save 3 penalties? Daniel, nah, won't actually be mad. It's a bit of fun. Good lad. Good lad. Quiet is better than cranky. True, I suppose. He wasn't like moody, but the problem is that I was a supervisor and he wasn't. So if I had work for him to do, it was always a bit of an awkward one where you're like trying to radio over to him to say, right, I've got this situation. And it's just like you don't get a response for literally like 30 seconds. You think, did he hear me? It just gets you in those predicaments. But anyway, it's all a bit of fun. You go differential captaincy too often. Yeah, I mean, if you want consistent finishes, I suppose, in terms of like top 100k, I think you do have to try and play mostly safe. It's unfortunate, but I think that's how it is. Angry Sad would annoy me more. Yeah, true. He was never that, to be honest. He's still going to save me 3 pens. Yeah. Third one he's going to save with a scorpion kick. Who's that famous keeper that's there's a clip of? I'm too young for that. I'm too young for who it was. But he saved it by basically doing a handstand, right? And saving it with his 2 feet. Couldn't tell you who it is. Yeah, well, when I say supervising, though, it was a bit of a kind of weird dynamic because I worked for the main company that sort of was in charge of the site. He was working for the subcontractor company that we basically employed to support us. So, yes, I was supervising him in some ways. I was responsible for him, but his workload was generally like managed by the contractor, if that makes sense. So even though I was a supervisor, it wasn't really like you need to do 10 jobs today and give him a list. It wasn't like that. But just when I had an ad hoc situation happen or arise, I did have to actually ask him. So when he was salty or like in a bad mood, it was a bit like, oh, bloody hell. Anyway, it's all a good bit of fun. Syed, sorry, Dan, just joined and seen the shock of Grealish in your team nearly knocked me off my sofa. Mate, I don't know why I've done it. I genuinely just feel like there's something in the air with him versus Villa. I can just smell it. I think something's going to happen. And everybody else was on Mahrez, right? And I just think his minutes longer term are going to be a bit more managed than Grealish. So I'm going to jump off of him, I think, on game week 26, where he's going to be Matoma. So maybe it's the worst move I've made this season, but we'll see. Right, Daniel, you are off. Thank you very much. And you found the stream today. Perfect. You're so chill. You and Andy, my favourite FPL YouTubers. Thanks for everything. Appreciate that. I don't know how I can be put into the same category as Andy, because he is absolutely the greatest of all time, right? He is the GOAT of FPL. But thank you so much, mate. Appreciated. And I'll probably see you in another stream soon, no doubt. So thank you for joining, mate. Good luck for the week again. George Kent, second one he's going to save while moonwalking. Yes, mate. I'm interested now on what the third one's going to be. Is it like overly theatrical, or are we just going to go simple with catches it? Someone fails a... Paqueta fails a Panenka, and then that's it. Bang. Straight into his hands. You're my GOAT, bro. Thank you very much, mate. Thank you. For you saying that, and you've only found me today, though. Time will tell, Daniel. Time will tell, mate. I'll see you next week. Perfect, mate. Perfect. Good to have you on board, bud. Good to have you on board, mate. And like I said, I'll do a couple of videos a week, so feel free to watch, my friend. Have a good one yourself, bud. Enjoy the weekend. Tanoki, imagine if he hangs on the bar and karate kicks all the shots on target. Mate, I think that would be deserving of a bonus point, even if he concedes, right? He's going to take his boot off and throw it at the ball. Things you love to see. Bang, then Kepa scores a hat-trick from clearances. Boys, you know what's going to happen. He's going to score 2 points. George is right. It's going to be 2-1 Chelsea. West Ham score first. First 10 minutes. First 10 minutes and then boom. Clean sheet. Wipe out. But no, genuinely, I don't know. I can't see West Ham winning, but I could see this being a draw. I could see this being a 1-0, a 1-0, a 1-1, a 0-0. It's going to be a close game, I think. But other than that, then in terms of the 3 o'clock games, what have we got? So we've got Arsenal, Brentford, Leicester, Spurs. Obviously, I've got Kane in that. Brighton, Palace. I've got Estepinian. Bournemouth, Newcastle. I think that might be a bit of a boring game tonight, to be honest. The 3 o'clockers are a bit more exciting in terms of players, right? Arsenal, Brentford's probably the big one for me in terms of play. Well, big one for this week for a lot of people, right? Super Sunday's really good, though. What a Sunday that is. Leeds United and then City Villa. Good stuff. 2-0 Chelsea you're going with. Fair enough. Syed, Dan, have you played the Harry Potter game yet? Hogwarts Legacy? Yes, I have, sir. I've got it. I did purchase it, mate. It's a pretty good game. I haven't played much of it, though, to be honest. I've done like a couple of the main storyline, but I haven't smashed it. George, my prediction includes the 3 penalty saves. Mate, if this happens, man, you're going to go down in history. Arsenal versus Brentford will determine how things shape up for this game week. Yeah, I think it will do for a lot of people. Maybe Kepa saves a pen. Plays a short game of table tennis. 352 saves. I think then at that point we'd be number 1, wouldn't we? Basically, 352 saves. I can't do the math on that, but that's a lot of points. But yeah, Syed, back to the Harry Potter game. Really, the only reason that I've played this week or found time to do it, as well as creating content for you and other stuff, of course, working full time as well, is my kids aren't here, right? My missus took them to Poland for 2 weeks and they're back tomorrow. So the whole situation of gaming pretty much disappears at that point. But I do enjoy it. I think it's a good game. Arsenal will smash Brentford, light work. Do you really think that, though? Are we going to go with 3-0? Saka and Nketiah must score for Arsenal. See, I think that Saka. I think this is brace territory for him across both games. I don't think he scores 2 in one game. I think he scores in both. So I don't think Odegaard blanks either, my friend, but this is it. You know, in true FPL form, though, Martinelli is going to be the one that hauls after so many people have sold him. Tanoki, good break for them and for you. Yeah, I mean, I didn't actually want them to go, to be honest, because, well, yeah, just I didn't want them to go. But with her family being in Poland, it kind of, they haven't seen my eldest daughter for essentially a year and a half. So they first met my daughter when my wife and I got married, and she was already 4 or 5 months old then. She's now nearly 2. So this is the first time they've seen her in person again. Obviously, technology's great, right? You can do remote calls and stuff, FaceTimes, but being with the kids is obviously going to be, you know, worth its weight in gold. So we just decided, okay, 2 weeks, go and take them there. Of course, the second one was born in November. So made sense. Made sense. But it has been a nice little break for both of us, you're right. Liverpool versus Everton will be good. I think it will be a good game. I think you're right on that one. Do you see it being a bit end-to-end? I think Liverpool might sneak it, though. I think they might just be able to edge it. 2-1, maybe, on that one. Abdullah, although you're a City fan. Yeah, I know, mate. But I am glad that you've gone for Arsenal assets, because I genuinely thought that you were just, from an FPL point of view, you do have to take the club that you support out of the equation sometimes. Like, I didn't have United assets for ages in my FPL team because we just looked rubbish at the beginning of the season. We needed time. And now I've got to triple up. How things change, right? But I'm glad you decided to wildcard and bring the Arsenal assets in, mate. If Saka hauls, you think Odegaard will be involved? Yeah, I agree. Nketiah is the differential this week. Very interesting. Very interesting. Well, I can only hope he does nothing based on the fact that I didn't bring him in. But George Kent, name the third kid Kepa in memory of the 3 pen saves. Man. You know, I watched this, there's this show on Netflix that my wife recommended called The Bullshit Game Show. It's America, I think it's America only. I haven't seen an English version, but there's 10 episodes. And there's a woman, I think she's like the 3rd contestant on the game show. And she starts, basically the aim of the game is you win money even if you get the answer wrong on a trivia show. And you have to bullshit to the 3 other people that you've got the answer right. There's 10 questions. It ranges from $1,000 all the way up to $1 million. But she was getting things wrong. So she obviously had to bullshit her way out of it. And because there's 3 other contestants that are trying to guess if you're bullshitting or not, she basically said that my 3 future children need to be named after you because they trusted her when she was bullshitting. So, massively off topic, sorry, but just it reminded me of that, George. But it's quite a funny show if you want to watch something. Abdullah, lineups are out, you think? Should we have a look? Should we have a look? I'll do it in a different tab. Do you think they're going to be on Twitter this early, though? I mean, what are we at? 11:30. Sometimes it's about an hour before, right? Team news soon. Team news soon. Haaland not playing in the early kickoff. I know, mate. That's why he's captained. So, here's the lineup, guys. Let's see if I can figure this out. Here's the two lineups. Can I get it both on screen? Yes, I can. There's your lineups, Abdullah. So we've got Kepa, James, Silva, Badiashile, Cucurella starts with Enzo, Madueke, João Felix back in the squad, Loftus-Cheek, which I think would have come in for Gallagher, no? And then Mudryk and Havertz. No Mason Mount. Interesting. Mason Mount on the bench. Ziyech on the bench. Chilwell on the bench, though, which is positive, I think, for Chelsea. But I feel that's a pretty good squad for Chelsea. I need to keep an eye on João Felix, though. I know I recommended him to a couple of people. I know, obviously, things have changed now with the double announcement of 25, but genuinely, we've got to keep an eye for him. He looked so good before his red card. Mudryk as well, obviously, will be an option. And then for West Ham, Fabianski, Soufal, Kera, Ogbonna, Agerd, Emerson, Rice, Paqueta, Benrahma, Bowen and Antonio. I don't think there's really any surprise there. I mean, Ings is on the bench. Obviously picked up an injury quite early on. I think this is definitely a Chelsea win. I think this is a 1-2-0, to be honest. I think, George, you're close with the 2-1. I'm just not sure I can see West Ham scoring. I mean, Bowen, Benrahma, they can definitely do something on their day. Antonio's just not the same anymore. He's just not been in any sort of run of form, right? So I think I'm going to go 2-0 Chelsea. What are we on? 11:30. 2-hour stream, guys. It's been good. It's been good. Is everything all right, by the way, in terms of quality? Doctor's in the house. Look, I was talking about you earlier when we were. I think George Kent had the captaincy on Trippier by mistake until we checked it, and I said, well, that's something that Doctor will do. So my question to you straight away after returning to the stream after a while, mate, did you captain Trippier? Even with the double game week options? Bowen, maybe. If he returns again, all the anti-FPL players will be sad. Yeah. Football Lord. Agerd is my pick. Great player at the World Cup and good performance now also. Yeah, I think he's going to be someone to watch maybe for next season. I think if West Ham survive, which I think they will, I think they've got enough quality in this, in their side to survive. I think if that's the case, he'll be one to watch, definitely. He will definitely be one to watch. You captained Rashford, you're not that ridiculous. So you captained him over Haaland. I knew that you would do something different, my man. I knew that you would do something different. Like I literally said in the stream earlier, I can't give you a timestamp, but I literally said, that is the sort of thing that Doctor would do. Big game for you guys. Big game for you, this. I'm sorry I have predicted a Chelsea win. But this is a big game for you. What's your prediction? Do you think you can come away with a point? I've gone two scenarios, I think. It's either going to be a 0-0 and it'll be a bit of a boring game because 12:30 kickoff is just so unpredictable. Or it'll be like a 2-0 Chelsea. I mean, that Chelsea squad it's reformed. Looks quite fresh. At Doctor, be ready for a red arrow. Mate, Rashford might go and score a hattie against Leeds. Who knows? Like Haaland could definitely blank over these two games. But yeah, it'll be interesting. If that pays off, mate, you're a very brave man. Very brave man indeed. Sorry, I'm just messaging my wife, guys. Should do that, really. I haven't spoke to her this morning. And for anyone who's just joined, by the way, she's in Poland. She's not just in the house, and I've decided to completely ignore her and just come on for an FPL stream. That would be quite funny. Nil kept of 352 saves. Man, they're just... Oh, dear. I saw a lineup, happy with 1-1. And you picked a back five. It dealt with Newcastle. Yeah, I think that does make sense. It does make sense. I just feel like maybe they've got enough creativity, Chelsea, to break through. But you're actually climbing up the ranks as well. 2.7 million. That's what we like, mate. We like them green arrows, my friend. Let's keep them coming. But then you've gone and captain Rashford, which makes me think, okay, is it going to happen this week for you? I hope so, though. I hope so. From a United perspective as a fan, and of course for you, mate, I hope that it works out. Maybe 352 at half-time, mate. Abdullah, what are your thoughts on Qatari takeover Man United? Listen, if we get... I think at this point, anyone's better than the Glazers, right? We need some investment in the stadium. We definitely need the club to be run a little bit better from top down. The thing is, for me, as long as they support Erik ten Hag and his rebuild and what he wants to achieve over these next few seasons, then to be honest with you, Abdullah, I don't really care where the investment comes from. They could be American, Qatari. It just doesn't matter to me. You know, British, because we've also got other people that are looking at it. But, I mean, genuinely, our club is built on previous successes, right? Let's not kid ourselves, it is. We've just built up a plethora of trophies and success over the seasons. Our fan base will be in existence for a long time. So the way I see it, Qatari takeover, American takeover, whoever it is that ends up owning us, doesn't matter. We're still going to be a force, I think, next season. You reckon Haaland will get a brace against Villa and be subbed off for Arsenal on Wednesday? I think that's probably a good shout, Syed, but then I would take the captaincy of him versus Villa with that brace over maybe Saka, that only gets maybe one return or two returns across both, I think. Mate, Ings UFC takedown on Haaland on Sunday, get him out versus... I was going to say Ings doesn't play for him anymore, he plays for you. And then you put Mings in, yeah, sure. Mings UFC takedown. Yeah. Could happen. I mean, he could get injured. Definitely. Stranger things have happened. Qatari takeover, then Messi loan from PSG turns into Man U feeder club Pog. To be honest, I wouldn't take him. I don't think he's ever going to come to the Premier League, right? It's just, he's better just playing where he's playing, keep his GOAT status next to Ronaldo in playing in different parts of Europe, and that's it. Like he's not going to come to the Prem ever, I don't think. So there we have it, guys. Oh dear, Gabriel Grealish. I'm not convinced of a green arrow this week, guys. I'm not convinced. I want it to be, but I'm not convinced. You heard Kepa has been training with the WWE. He's ready to elbow drop, save a penalty. Mate, he needs to just elbow drop all the 11 players from West Ham, not get carded. It's then 11 playing players of Chelsea versus nobody on the pitch for West Ham, and he keeps his clean sheet. That's the reality. But then he wouldn't get his save points. So we need at least one person. We need Bowen to stay on the pitch, to keep shooting, so that he gets the 352 save points. That would be perfect. You remember back in the day with the cold Tuesday night at Stoke jokes? Indeed. Dan, do you watch UFC? I don't, mate. I don't. There isn't really any sport that I watch, to be honest, other than football. I think we've covered this before in other streams. Like I don't mind tennis, so I like watching Wimbledon. I won't watch any of the Opens, like the Australia Open, the American Open. I don't really watch them, so I'm a fan of Wimbledon. Occasionally I'll tune into some darts because I don't know. I just think as a pub game, it's quite interesting to watch, and the crowd always make me laugh. Right, they're just getting absolutely smashed and just throwing up 180 cards. That makes me laugh. I do watch athletics or the Olympics in general. I quite like those types of sports. But no, really, to be honest, in terms of following sport properly, it's only football for me. It's only football for me, mate. See, Volt versus means nothing to me, mate. I have no idea who they are. The occasional boxing fight I'll watch, but I've just never really been a big watcher of fighting. Even wrestling, when I was a kid, wasn't really like a big thing for me. It was just everything was football. Messi clearly can't be GOAT if he doesn't come to the Prem and have the legs snapped in half by Ryan Shawcross. Oh, badminton's good as well, actually. I like badminton. I used to play that at school. Table tennis, I haven't really watched enough to kind of say, but I do like racket sports in general. Anyone watching? Oh, okay, again, we're going into UFC talk. What is bigger sport in England, football or cricket? Football. Football's the biggest sport, mate, for sure. Cricket, rugby, there's definitely a good following for those two, but football's number one. You don't get boxing. I mean, I don't know. Sometimes I just find certain fights quite entertaining. The problem is with it, though, is that you get names and you think, yeah, this is going to be a great fight on paper. And then it just turns out to be 12 rounds of just feeling each other out. And it's just a bit like, really? Is that what I've paid for? It's just not always the best. You watch the NBA? Interesting. I've never been a basketball fan, to be fair, but I can imagine that is quite exciting. But yeah, basketball's never really been... I played a little bit of it in school because, I mean, I took PE as one of my GCSEs, if that means anything to the non-UK watchers, but that was one of my choices. But again, I think I chose... The two main sports that I chose were badminton and football. Some people did a bit of football and rugby, football and cricket, but football was pretty much in every single person's choice. I just played a bit of basketball, I think, in some of the standard lessons, not the ones I chose. Sebastian, do you know the Chelsea lineup? I do, mate. Yes, we did have a look at it, but we can go on to Twitter to show you, mate. There's the lineups there, bud. So Mason Mount benched, which is interesting, but I feel like that's a really strong 11 for Chelsea. But like Doctor said, West Ham with a back five, that'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see if they can get past them. Tanoki, biggest sport in my house to watch is definitely badminton. Biggest sport we do is getting out of bed. Anyone played squash? I think we spoke about this before, didn't we, Abdullah? Do you know what? If I had somebody sort of local to me that would wanted to consistently play either badminton or squash in terms of going to the gym, I'd probably play it. But I've just never really had someone interested in it to play with. You took PE as well. Football, basketball and athletics were my sports. Nice. I can't remember if I chose 3 or 2. I can only remember football and badminton being my choices. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I did have to choose 3, but I just can't remember. I'm too old now, mate, to remember. Kepa 10-pointer coming. Interesting. Well, with 352 saves, as someone else is predicting, he's on for 100 points by the sounds of it, mate. But yes, that's the lineup. That is the lineup for both. This is how we're obviously lined up. I'll tell you what we'll do. With the 11 people that are watching, I'm just intrigued. I'm intrigued to know what you guys think. I'm going to start a poll. Considering I've taken a -4, what do you think? What do you think? Am I on a green arrow or not? George, we had to do 3, 1 individual, 1 team and 1 wild card, which was just any of your choice. Yeah, that sounds better way to do it. I think I just had to do 2. And the thing is, I think everybody was nearly forced into doing football because everybody else chose it in the lesson. George thinks I'll go up by 3 ranks. So you think I'm going to move from 117,887th to 117,884th? Is that what we're saying? I'm not sure. I mean, with this -4, I know a lot of people have taken -4s, but I don't know. 80% of you think yes, though, which is 4. 4 people voted yes, 1 on the no. George, yeah, sounds about right. So pretty much it's a grey arrow then. You think I'm going to stay around the same. Tanoki, I think you'll be green, but could be greener because Grealish minutes don't pick up yet. Yeah, I mean, if Grealish does something massive, and probably If he outscores Mahrez, I think I'd be confident of a green at that stage. But if he doesn't, then I'm a little bit worried. Greenish will get me a green arrow. I hope so, Seb, because then that means I get one. More than likely. One on the no is me. Thanks, Abdullah. Appreciate the support. I still rate the pick longer term, but won't pay off instantly. Yeah, I think across the 4 games, so if we think Villa, Arsenal, is it Bournemouth and Forest are his 4 games, I feel like the returns across the four game weeks there, 3 game weeks, sorry, but 4 matches should be larger. But this is the punt territory. You know, I said to myself, or I think I actually said to the stream, and I think in one video, I said the closer I get to 100k, the safer that I'll play, so that I can almost lock it in, because I really do want to. That is always my aim, right? Top 1%-ish of the game, I'll always take it. And now I'm literally within I'm in touching distance of that rank, and I've decided to go for a differential. You think the rest of the team is strong enough to still be green, even if Grealish doesn't return? Okay. I'll take that. We'll take the 80% votes of yes. He's going to ask that his points don't count for you. Okay, Abdullah, I understand the reasoning. You think the punt on Grealish won't pay off and not having Nketiah will hurt. Okay. I mean, I'm a little bit... I don't think Nketiah can really hurt me, though, because you've already said that he's not highly owned. So if he is only 9 point something owned, then I don't see how that can hurt me so much. Because if you look at it the opposite way, if Saka absolutely smashes it, not everybody has gone for Saka. But again, his ownership was higher based on what you told me. So I haven't seen the stats, but I understand the logic. You don't think Nketiah will be a big difference? Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think Mahrez versus Grealish is probably the more immediate problem. But then I have Harry Kane. Some people don't have Kane still. Do you know what I mean? I'm literally at that point with him where I think he could go and score a hat-trick against Leicester, Abdullah. You're 78k, George. And you're doing heads and tails for transfers. Yeah, true. That'll go down in history, though, won't it, really? That I flipped a coin for you. It worked out in my favour because you've transferred the player I've transferred in. And if that works out, mate, we're going to be coin flipping for the rest of the season. We're going to be coin flipping. I'll do it live as well. I won't do any early transfers. We'll just coin flip our way through to 38. Tanoki, the hurt will probably come something like a double early sub. Yes, indeed. But then again, with Martinelli firing, you say that, but aren't so many people selling him? So again, I'm not sure where my rank could get hurt here, but again, stranger things have happened, right? Stranger things have happened. Anyway, guys, I'm going to go and get myself some lunch, I think, to be honest. I'm going to get myself nice and settled, ready for the 12:30 kickoff, boys. It's been an amazing stream today. I do like the longer ones, to be honest. I do like the longer ones. We're at 620 subs now. Absolutely phenomenal stuff. The channel is growing nicely, guys. Really, really happy with it. You think Lewis will play both games and get 8 points? Fingers crossed for you, mate. If you went for him, fingers crossed. But guys, I'm going to wrap it up there. Honestly, I feel like, as I say, really successful stream today. I really hope that the arrows are green for you. Of course, I will be doing the usual stuff, team selection video. I don't think I'll be doing a review on people's weeks this week because I've got a bit of a long week. Obviously, tomorrow going and picking up my wife and kids as well. So I'll be busy with them, no doubt. Definitely do a team selection video next week. Not sure what the second video will be yet. Maybe I'll just do some transfer targets or a bit of macro planning with chip strategy and so on. I'll have a little think. But I'll definitely be putting out a couple of videos this week, so look out for them. Of course, I'll always do a live stream or try to. So when's the deadline next week? Do we know? I'm not 100% sure when the deadline is. Can I have a look on the... Are we still down? We're not down by the looks of it. So deadline is... Okay, it's Saturday morning again, so I'll probably do the same thing. Same thing that I've done already, guys. Again, really appreciate the support. Have a fantastic weekend. I hope the arrows are green as mentioned. And I will see you in another live stream or another video soon, hopefully. Take care, guys. All the best. See you soon.